Hey, everybody. Welcome to Throwin Wrenches podcast. This is Eric.
I'm Daryl.
Welcome to the automotive podcast that's bringing you the festive yule log.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
he's not a setup artist, but he's the guy responsible for the show.
Welcome Dustin, the voice, Wickoff.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
So I updated the theme for the Christmas show.
I think we heard that.
And I thought to myself, Dustin will get it, our special co-host, but I don't think Daryl Scott will get it. And as soon as I played it in the pre-show,
Oh, yeah.
you know who Wesley Willis is.
I nailed it. Yeah, I grew up, high school, Wesley Willis was very popular. I don't know what that says about...
Very popular.
Very popular. I don't know what that says about my high school or the friends or the music we listen to, but sadly I know more about... I celebrate his entire catalog. Let's just put it that way. The Wesley Willis catalog.
Okay. And welcome, Dustin. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. I try not to talk until I've been introduced. This is just podcast etiquette. Wesley Willis played a show in Peoria at Bradley one year.
Really?
While I was going to college,
way.
I missed out. I had to work that night, but my friend Gene got a headbutt from Wesley.
That was his... Yeah, that was his thing.
That was his sign of affection.
So where would he have played at if he played
Played
Bradley?
at like a Bradley house party
Like a
or
dorm?
Yeah,
Dorm
something like that.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
No, he was legendary. My friend Chris Schultz got a headbutt from him in high school, and that was... We all thought, oh, man, that's cool. You got headbutted by him.
Because he had that spot on his head. I knew that was kind of a thing, but I didn't realize it was the thing.
Yeah.
I've got one of his old indie albums, like when he would go to Kinko's and get them made and all that. I got it at a record store up in the suburbs around that same time. I couldn't believe I found it in the wild, and I was like, this is coming home with me.
You still have it?
Yeah, Whoop Batman's Ass is on there.
That's a great...
Sorry, I probably shouldn't.
No, that's okay. It's a legitimate title, so we can still keep the PG
Yes.
rating.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to choke and die. Fantastic. Everybody needs to go out for Christmas this year and get a stocking stuffer of a Wesley Willis.
Apparently it's a Chicago thing. All right,
Yeah.
so this is a Christmas show, so it's going to be a little bit different. Daryl loves the Christmas shows, by the way. He's told me over the years he wishes every show could be Christmas.
Of course.
But that just can't be, Daryl. They all have to be special this one time of year.
Christmas comes but once a year.
Yes, that's true. So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening. And to join the fun of the show, remember, you can always send an email, info@throwinwrenches.com. You can post a review on iTunes, be heard around the world. And speaking of the pre-show, I brought up there are some reviews around the world. Should I share those now?
I think you should.
Should I? All right. It is a festive, Christmas edition, right?
Right.
This review comes from Australia. It's from the pre-show, 5-star. For all the listeners of this show, get on board with the pre-show train. Sign up for a few dollars a month and get so much more. Thank
How
you
much
so
more?
much. So much.
That's not the voice they wrote it in, though.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
It's from me. It's from Meow 1786, by the way.
Great.
Meow. I hope it was a chick, but I don't know.
No, thank you for the feedback. That's fantastic, and we do love a pre-show. We might be biased because we just came off the heels of a pre-show, where we talked about music, pop culture. We talked about some movie history. We talked about Annie Potts, which for some reason we always wind up talking.
That was my fault.
Tuesday night pots or Thursday night pots. There's a lot of different pots.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great, but at the same time, pre-show is where it's at. If you want more information, you can click the Patreon link on throwinwrenches.com and learn what you get for all of that extra money.
Shmoney, yeah, the shmoney. And also, we had a 3-star review from Canada, so apparently Canada sucks now. So I'm sorry, all of our Canadian listeners, if that's the only review I can get on iTunes, it's 3 stars.
Wait, does Canada suck or do we suck
do they
in
even
Canada?
make cars in Canada that aren't branded from somewhere else? I mean, if I buy a Canadian-made car, it's probably a Toyota, it's probably a GM, probably a Ford.
Yeah.
Do they even have a Canadian car?
No, not anymore.
No, they don't, do they?
No. Good
So
point.
maybe that's why you're so bitter.
They're called horses.
They do. They're mounted. You know what? They also put ketchup on potato chips. So,
Yeah, anyway.
There's that.
Anyway, so
Love you, Canada.
So there's that. All right, we did have one comment on Spotify, and would like to thank Andrew for putting on there. Hey, Eric, thanks for not volunteering me to work on the Cadillac. It's something I would have come over to help get running. And so apparently there was a listener who might have helped you with the Cadillac, but
doggone it.
Yeah.
Well, I could still. Well, okay. Well, DM me.
Okay.
Get in my DMs.
Yeah, he's friends with Jake, so let's just say,
okay.
If Jake knows him, we can get this happening.
Oh, I think I know who he is.
I think you do.
All right.
Yeah. All
What's
right.
up?
So iTunes is no longer dead to me. Spotify still is where it's at. We did our iTunes year in review. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see all the lists. We had I don't know, 70 people. We were in their top 10 podcasts.
Oh, you did your Wrapped?
Yeah, we had 40 people. We were in their top 5, and there was 8 people that we were their number 1 podcast. And we probably know all 8 of those people, but that's still. I don't think we know. I don't know.
We'll get some metrics. We'll collect some data. Well, you can get that as a podcast creator. I think you can.
It's a lot of dudes.
There's a whole separate thing, right?
Yeah,
it tells you who.
But their age range does vary. I was pretty shocked by that. So, yeah, we cover the gambit. Whether you're 12 years old, just wanting your first car, whether you're 80 years old, trying to get rid of a car, yeah, we got you covered here on the show, right?
It's a good demographic spread. much like the the cheese ball spread at the. Holiday party. I don't know what I'm trying to come up with a segue. It's not working.
Hey, if you don't know my co-host, Daryl Scott, well, let me tell you about it. He posted on Facebook. He put an ad out asking for a co-host on a car show. I responded. The rest is history. Well, it's a little more involved than that. He's the radio star who was looking for his jock or a jock that missed the radio. He's my co-host. He's Daryl Scott.
Aw, thanks. Yeah. Oh, wait. That's the wrong sound effect.
That sounded good anyway.
I was looking for the applause, but that's fine. That's fine. Hey, thank you. That's a wonderful intro, and this is probably one of my favorite parts of the show. For my co-host, you might not know him, but you should. With multiple trips to Italy under his belt, well, he knows the language. He understands the culture. Well, the food? Well, he's got new respect for anything alla cucina. Well, does this give us the hope that one day he might roll up to the show in a Fiat Panda?
Getting there.
Possible. Ladies and gentlemen, signores and signori, Il Duce, Eric Stahl. Oh, wrong one. There we go.
The Dolce. The sweetness? Is that what I am, the Dolce?
I think it means the leader.
Oh, okay.
I think they called Mussolini Il Duce. Okay. I think.
Maybe a Duce may be different than Dolce.
Dolce. You're thinking Dolce de Leche, which is caramel, I think.
Dolce de Leche.
Wesley Willis had a song about a panda, but it was a totally different type of panda.
It's way different.
Would you like to read the introduction for Mr. Dustin?
Of course. And our guest here, if you're not familiar with our other co-host here tonight, well, like a professional matchmaker, but without the musical number. Matchmaker, you know that one. Our guest spotted a perfect pairing when he brought us together in the summer of 2017. What started as a collaboration on a movie podcast turned into what is right here before you this very day. So in a way, this is all his fault.
Totally.
He's the sensation known the world around for his many podcasts about everything from craft beer to film, to music, to Disney, and even Ernest P. Worrell.
2 of them.
Yeah, he's the voice. He is the one, the only, Dustin Wickoff.
Hello.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you for that. That was maybe the best introduction I've ever had.
Do you think when there's a Wikipedia entry written about you, Dustin, it'll be about your podcast about Ernest?
Well, I'm going to be the one that has to write it, so probably.
That's seriously though. If folks aren't familiar, Dustin is actually seriously the one who kind of brought us together here. I mean, Eric and I kind of ran in similar circles. We all did, all 3 of us. But you are the one you're kind of like the origin story.
Yeah, I'm the one who put the peanut butter in the chocolate.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
We'll get to.
Eric?
We'll get.
Are you the peanut butter? Or are you the chocolate?
Definitely the pitcher. That'd be the peanut butter, I think.
Okay.
Or no, the chocolate going in. Okay.
Is that how it works?
I don't know.
Diagram he's trying to make with his hands.
I was having my way with both. So.
And you were.
Yeah.
And it worked. Anyway.
Made a nice bouillabaisse.
Where are we going? We did have an outline.
Forts Toyota is super proud to sponsor this episode of ThrowinWrenches.com. Throwin Wrenches. You can check them out at www.toyota-pekin.com. There you'll find their great inventory. And if you follow their Instagram, you'll see all kinds of great promotions. Right now, we've got TRD wheels for sale. We've got new Camrys coming in. We have some recalls happening on Tundras and, Grand Highlanders. If you got some airbags, they're doing all kinds of stuff. Follow the social media feeds. Look at all the stuff that's going on there at the dealership. If you need a new car, if you need service, check them out on the web at toyota-beacon.com.
15 minutes from anywhere.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate their longtime support of this very show. And we appreciate the listeners who help make it possible. And we're talking about you, Patreoners and iTunes Premium folks. You actually do help make this program possible. Help us make sure that we reserve the domain throwinwrenches.com and make sure that we have, decent microphones and headphones. Because nobody likes, we did the 2 cans and a string thing for like 2 years.
Yeah, dude, the first episode. You know what we should do for the next Christmas episode? We should just pull out the first episode.
No.
Say, here's your dessert.
It was one of those things where, and Dustin, you're probably familiar with this too, like when you start out, you're like, I can go buy an Amazon microphone for $14. It's great.
Best Buy is where it was.
I forget. We ordered some trash and it was like, it sounded great. And
I think we did Amazon. You're right, $35 with the
stands,
with the boom and the pop filter. Yeah.
Oh, I've been using crap Amazon equipment my entire time.
Not high fidelity?
No, I just
You'd never make it in this room, kid.
Yeah, we don't have that Fort Toyota bankroll.
Heavy sponsorship script.
Hey, if you guys are looking for more podcasts to sponsor, I'm your guy.
It works.
Yeah.
No, but it does take money to put, as you know, it puts a show together.
Oh,
totally.
Yeah. So it is very appreciative. We do appreciate your Patreon support, the family who makes this possible. So, anyways, now that with some of the business out of the way, Eric, we did kind of want to talk through some other items
so
here.
we're not going to do a news heavy show. We're not going to do a traditional show. It's a Christmas show after all, so it's total chaos. There you go. I think somebody's up on the rooftop. I hope he doesn't fall down. He's got a bad hip.
I was waiting for it.
No, Santa Scott is up there. But no, normally in the Christmas show, we have done all kinds of themes. We've done favorite movies, favorite songs.
Yep.
I don't remember what else we've done. You've been generally disgusted with all my options that I've chosen over the years. That's true. That's true.
Are you a Scrooge?
I deny that.
I just don't think he likes.
Bah,
He doesn't like us going off script that hard, and they are off script.
It's not bad. Look,
it opens him up to vulnerability.
Yeah,
That's the
man, you
problem
got to
with
get
that.
loosey-goosey.
there might be something to that. No, Christmas was generally a happy time for me as a child. I don't know about everybody else, but I only have great memories.
Oh, and you hate to just like drag
Is
him
this
down
the
with this
therapy
terrible
portion?
show.
Maybe. No, it's fine.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches, we brought Dustin on to share with everybody the origin story, the canon, per se, of how Throwin Wrenches started.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Christmas story. I'm like, whew, I needed to brush up on my Bible.
Oh yeah,
before
yeah.
I came over.
This is a live reading. This is a radio show. Yeah, we're gonna
In the little town of Bethlehem.
Yes,
exactly. I brought the mule. It's out.
I brought some
outside.
myrrh,
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
You could do it.
It's out in the car.
You could seriously, Eric's house, when you came up, were you waiting for a live nativity scene?
Yeah. There's a dromedary or a Bactrian camel. I wasn't sure which I was going to see, but I knew one of them would be up there.
Yeah.
He is wearing a robe. Nice beard, by the way.
Anyway, so my wife goes, "Why are you having Dustin on the show?" And I'm like, "True."
She say it just like
she did.
that?
She did. She did.
She said it to my face when I entered their kitchen.
She goes, "Who are you? Why
are
don't you
you
cut
doing
that
here?"
hair?
She
You
didn't
hippie?"
recognize me.
Yeah. No. No, I don't know how many times you've actually met her in real life.
Yeah.
Beer Fest maybe
Couple.
eons ago. But
There was that one incident, but she got the order of protection. So
Yeah, she did.
You
She
haven't
did.
seen her in a while.
This is the first time I've been in the house.
Yeah.
I was driveway only before.
And the
today.
pepper spray cleared up. You don't look as
Yeah, usually my eyes are red for a different reason.
yeah.
we got so many miles of territory that Dustin and I could talk about because Dustin and I knew each other a long time ago. Dustin and I have gone to concerts and stuff together.
Yep.
We've done all kinds of cool stuff. But it is canon to this show that Daryl and I would not have this show had it not been for Dustin. So I explained that to my wife, and then she still went, "Ugh." And I still thought it was valuable. I didn't cancel the show based on her recommendation. So tonight we'll talk about what Dustin does and how Dustin brought us together, and we'll kind of just have a reminiscence, per se.
Yeah. Gather around by the fire,
Yeah.
boys
Come
and
on.
girls.
Come on, kids.
We'll spin the
Settle
yarn.
But it is still a car show, so we can kind of talk about some other stuff going on. It's been a couple weeks since our last show, and we always start every show off with projects.
Of course.
I winterized the camper, so that was done.
So by the time you're hearing this is December.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's December in the Midwest, which, a.k.a., nothing happens outside because everything's
but
terrible.
It was so warm up until a week ago, really.
We had the windows open in the house over the weekend.
Yeah, this weekend I had the screen door open. It was beautiful.
You're in the 50s, so not too bad.
I was reapplying siding to my house that had blown off in that nor'easter that came through last week.
Oh, yeah.
I was out of town.
Yeah, well, you guys get hit with some, like,
at least in South Pekin, it's just you're built for destruction down there, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, our school mascot's the tornado because the school got destroyed in the past.
Is it seriously?
It is.
Legit, yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
No, and then we got hit again years later. Didn't take out the school.
Dude, I was out of power for 4 days that time we had the tornado down there. It was terrible.
And you and
Dustin and I lived minutes from each other years ago, yeah.
And they taunt fate by naming their school mascot the Tornadoes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I haven't really done a whole lot. I winterized camper.
What does that involve for the novice or me?
Well, so you don't want to have water in any of the lines. So just like if you had a room in your house that wasn't getting any heat, you don't want the lines to freeze up and then break and rupture and all that because the ice expands. So 2 years ago, because I got a cheap-ass camper, sorry, blue language there, I figured out how to pull the seat up by under the bed with screws because Riverside, who makes the camper, does everything on the cheap. And I figured out how to pull everything up, and I found the access point where I could draw coolant through the lines the easy way.
The pink stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was pouring it through the fresh water tank before. I couldn't find it. This year I actually built a hinge in a system. I cut a little access point and,
Yeah.
Dude, even when I did this like 4 weeks ago, there was ladybugs and stink bugs everywhere.
They're in my kitchen at this moment.
Just took over.
Dude, it's crazy. They were like in little mobs, little mounds everywhere. So I had to take the vacuum out there and start sucking all that stuff out. Anyway, so I drew antifreeze through the whole system. And still, Outdoorsy texts me and says, "Hey, if you want to rent that camper, we got somebody." I'm like, "It's December. I'm not renting the camper in December."
You're just tucking it away.
Who wants a camper in December, really?
Homeless people?
Oh, that's a good. I wonder what they pay.
Unhoused.
Well, they might not be on Outdoorsy, though.
They might not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe hunters, so they can go.
Well, Peoria passed those regulations. So.
Yeah, right. They might be a urgent need for campers around here.
What if there's some hunters that want to field dress a deer in your camper? And that's what I'm.
I put it down for not for music festivals, so I'm hoping that also means no dressing down of
Unless
animals.
you get your own jerky.
Yeah.
You think that's the same demographic?
Could be.
Going to summer camp.
Thanks for that. Anyway.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
And then last week went to Italy, so I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, P.S. By the way,
bury the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Nice. I'm glad you're here.
And this is your second time in what, a year?
It's second time in a year and third time ever. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Went back to Rome, so saw the family. Got to on Sunday. Flew in on Saturday. Got a little acclimated. Sunday, spent the whole day with the family in Tivoli, and had a great time. And then spent the rest of the week kind of doing the sights in Rome and everything. And
you guys had some friends you went with too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good time. I stressed a lot to my wife that if we're going to take friends, they need to know we walk. I had a conversation with somebody else this last week. They said they went to Rome and they couldn't believe how much they walked. And I'm like, that's what you do in a city.
That's every European city, right?
If you flew into New York, if you flew into Paris,
if
you fly into any metro, even if you take the train, and even if you take the bus, you're still walking a lot.
Right.
I walk 60 miles in 7 days there.
What did you wear? Platform heels with the goldfish in the
I just wore some boots, but I walk. I wear
hush puppies, man.
Hush puppies.
I did wear hush puppies one day.
Did you really?
Yeah,
they're good shoes.
No, I wore them in the Forum, and it's uneven pavement, and those hush puppies were a little too soft.
You were very high on them a year ago on your trip. I listened to last
apparently,
Christmas
you
episode.
Dude.
I did
funny
a refresh.
You say that because I packed the same shoes. And I put them back in there, and I thought it's going to rain every day, so I probably won't likely wear these. But the one day that was supposed to be sunny, I'm like, I'm going to pull the hush puppies out. That was the day we walked the Forum, and the Forum is authentic cobblestone and stone roadways, and you're walking up Palatine Hill, and you're going through the Colosseum, and I'm going to tell you what, my feet were baked by the end of that day. It was just no support. It was like walking in sandals or flip-flops.
Get the clown shoes like I got, the Hokas or
Hokas. Hokas are the bomb.
When I go to Vegas, I walk 12, 13 miles a day, easy. And these feel great. They look ridiculous.
It's got the heels
feel
this
great.
big. Yeah.
And my other shoes, my hikers I was wearing the rest of the time, they were North Face or waterproof. But I didn't want to wear waterproof boots on the days it wasn't going to rain.
Is that just so you could dance in the fountains?
No. It's just, you know what you don't want to do is walk 10 miles with wet feet.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, I was prepared. But I tell you what, this time we took public transit. We took trains. We took the subway. Didn't take the bus, but almost got pickpocketed. No tuk-tuks. What's that little...
Pickpocketed.
Yeah, we almost got pickpocketed twice.
Oh, wow. Where? You keep burying... This is like the most important parts.
Yeah.
I went to Rome and almost got killed. So where did you get almost pickpocketed?
So it's so funny because Ange and I, we watch a lot of YouTube stuff before we leave. Mm-hmm. And like the final day before we left, we watched this YouTuber who was at the American consulate who was talking about how he had to get his new passport. And his wife was like... And they're experienced travelers, but they're like, we got it. They pickpocketed us. We lost our passports. So here we are at the consulate, and we're getting a new credit card, and we're getting a new passport, and blah, blah. And they explained everything that happened, and I'm like, oh. And so when we got on the train, we got on the subway, and I'm trying to think, we were going to...
In Rome?
Yeah, in Rome.
Okay.
So we...
Roma to the locals.
Roma.
See.
Roma. We were going to Termini Station, and we were 2 stops out, and these 2 young girls got on. Angela was standing in the middle of the train, right by the doors, and our friend Mark and Aiden were standing there. And these 2 girls, they're young girls, like 12 or 13 years old. They go, oh, where's the Termini? And they were kind of playing dumb, and Angela's like, well, it's coming up. It's 2 stops. So I think they were trying to feel us out.
Distract you? Or?
Well, they were trying to see if we were tourists or not, if we knew what we were doing. And so Angela said, in the meantime, the one girl was sticking her hand in her purse, but Angela had it zipped, but she had 2 open pockets because, an American purse doesn't really lend itself to security.
Yeah.
There was nothing in it. She knew.
Did she see the girl do it?
Yeah, and she said she pulled her purse back from her, and then as the train shuffled again, the girl kind of put her hand back in it again, and then when we got to the next stop, they got out. And then another person walked up to us because those girls trying to rob you is everything there, and we're like, no, we know what they were doing.
Wow.
So
bold.
That wasn't a big deal. So then we were coming back from the aqueducts on the south side of town, and this was way out. We were way, way out. We were at the end of the line almost. And this guy gets on, and I'm like astounded. I'm like looking at him. He's like this. In Rome, everybody's smaller. I mean, Aiden is like a giant in that town.
Well, he is like 6'8".
Yeah,
or
my son. But this guy walks on who's like a whole head taller than Aiden. He's skinny, and what I'm looking at is this majestic tattoo on his neck. It's like David and God, the fingers touching each other.
Really?
One's a human finger and the other's a skeleton. I'm like looking at his neck. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. And
were you allowed to take pictures of that?
I wanted to. Well, I should have because I needed the evidence. Because later, I was looking. I'm like, that guy's probably misunderstood. He's probably an interesting guy. He's probably like Dustin. He probably works at a record store. Or something like that.
Give him the benefit of the
So
right.
At the next stop, the guy gets out. Aiden goes, "If that guy touched my ass one more time, I was going to stomp on his foot." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "He kept reaching my back pocket. He was trying to get my wallet." I'm like, "Seriously?" And he goes, "Yeah." But again, we were aware that these were the things that you look out for. So it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why I keep my mine in front right pocket.
Your 9mm?
Yeah. I got that ridge or whatever they call it.
That's why I just keep eating fast food so that I fill my pants. Oh wait, that sounded wrong. Hold on. So my pants are so tight I can't.
How tight are they?
Well, never mind. This segment isn't going the way I wanted it. But at the same time, when we were overseas, that was the big. My wife's obsessed. She's like, I don't want to get pickpocketed, so your passport, everything else stays at the hotel. And I'm like, all right, well, what if we get arrested? And she's like, that's not going to happen. But she's
Make a copy, put it on your phone.
Yes. So we took pictures of stuff, and then she had us get like the little weird fanny pack things that go around you. Like
seriously?
On the like it was like a shoulder wallet thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I felt like an idiot, but also I knew exactly where everything was in my little pooch up front. So
the nicest thing. So I had a bit of an inspiration because every time I've traveled in the past, and we went to Mexico. I think it was the first time I ever went without my camera. And my friend Mark, who went with us, he's a flip phone guy.
Okay.
Literally doesn't take pictures, doesn't text, doesn't do anything.
He's a better man for it.
Right? And he goes, I'm not taking anything. I'm like, really? He goes, no. His wife convinced him to take his phone just in case there's an emergency or her phone got lost or stolen or something like that. You should have your flip phone just in case. And I thought to myself, like, you know what? I think I'll just carry my cell phone. That's it. I'll have my wallet, my cell phone. When I leave the hotel every day, maybe I'll have a jacket, but I'm not carrying anything else. I'm not going to have a fanny pack. I'm not going to have a bag. Not going to have a backpack. Nothing. And you know what? I actually enjoyed my trip more in that respect.
A little less stress.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. If anybody wants to see pictures, Eric, of course, you're always good at documenting.
It's
your
on
stuff.
I post it because on Instagram now you can do 20 pictures in a pop, which is nice.
Yeah, it used to be 10.
Yeah, so now I can do, there's like 4 or 5 posts of 20 pictures.
Yeah, I was scrolling through them, and my wife thought I was on Tinder or something. She's
Whoa,
like, "Why you
whoa.
keep swiping right?" I'm like, "I'm just looking at Eric's photos. I swear, I'll show you my screen."
Usually, it's at Planet Stall if you want to follow him on Instagram. At Planet Stall, great stuff. I did a few of that. And she's like, "What's with all your pictures of Aiden?" I'm like, first of all, they're not my pictures. They're Eric's. And second of all, it's part of an album. I'm not just like looking at pictures of your son.
Yeah.
Although he is a handsome fella.
Well, you know what?
He looks, by the
A
way,
giant among Italians.
He looks when he's over there. This is the second time he just like there's like pictures of him with like a little demi-tasse thing of espresso or like eating a biscotti.
Dude,
or
he's getting the culture down.
He looks.
I love it so much because he walks in, he asks for un cafe, espresso, and then sucra. He does everything. He stands there at the bar. He gets it. And
when does he get a villa and get referred to?
He wants me to get citizenship for this very reason. But
is he a made guy? Is he?
I think he would. And here's the whole point of these trips over the last couple of years.
John Aiden.
You could say, "Oh, Eric, this is your lavish lifestyle." It doesn't cost that much. I could share with you. You'd spend more money going to Seattle for a week than I did going to Rome.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah. And for me to plant this hook for my son to meet his family in Italy.
Yeah.
I'm 53 years old. He's 21. Yeah. I'm just trying to throw this out there. Maybe it plants a seed. Maybe it goes away. But the thought is, you know what? I've done everything I can to make the connection with the old family.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday, it all works out. So
cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Dustin, are you a big international traveler?
No, but I've seen my fair share of roadside attractions across the great U.S.
And that's also amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody should visit every state. You should get. I mean, this country. We stopped traveling. We had traveled internationally a lot, like 20 years ago. Then we stopped for like 10 or 15 years. And I told everybody, I'm like, there's so much in the United States to see, and Canada and Mexico. You never have to go overseas should you not want to. You'll never see enough of the United States. You couldn't justify saying I've seen everything in the United States if you need to go somewhere else. But
right.
But it is nice.
No, so Dustin, I know we mentioned earlier you're not really like a huge car guy, but
right.
you do appreciate a good American road trip.
Yeah, I love driving. Just the act of it. And
tell us about your car.
The Zen. Well, I got a Ford Fusion 2020.
Nice.
How many horses does that get me?
Probably about 180 ponies.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
All right.
You know what? Those are good cars. Good road cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice.
It's better than my Nissan Sentra that I had before with that CVT transmission. Never again.
You're a sedan man, and I respect that too,
Yeah.
because you've had sedans ever since
story.
I've known you.
Yeah.
Never been an SUV guy.
I'm a
have you?
4-door kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first met you, I think you had a Taurus.
Yep. I
Really?
had a few of them. It was like when one went out, I got another one.
You had a spare, didn't you?
My grandma passed, and her car was an exact color, everything. No one knew the difference. It's just I shaved like 50,000 miles off of the odometer. And
So I didn't know there were two of them. I just thought you had a Taurus like forever.
no.
Okay.
There was two
you
of
had
them
another
in
one in the
there.
driveway. You have like two in the
I had a
driveway
Ford
at the time.
Tempo.
Nice.
My first car was the Chevy Celebrity. The car no celebrity would ever drive, but
I just see like DiCaprio pulling up to a movie premiere in a Chevy Celebrity.
yeah.
That never happened.
Carol loved all those cars, by the way.
So like I'm not a extravagant car guy. I appreciate classic cars. I would love to have. For any fans of the show Supernatural, the Impala that they drive, that's like my dream. I don't even care if they give me the suicide doors, because there's like a 2-door version and a 4-door version. I'm a sedan man, as we've said, but I don't care about any of that. I would just love to have a version of that car. It's never going to happen. But
What about the true
romance one?
Caddy?
Wait a minute. When did you get? Hold on.
I've been looking at it the whole show.
I got it at Hobby Lobby here like 2 weeks ago.
For the folks at home, this is, if everybody remembers the Quentin Tarantino movie,
written by him,
but directed by, was it Oliver Stone?
74 Cadillac.
I can't remember. It was like the first script he sold, and then he made Reservoir Dogs with the money he made for that script.
As you can hear, Dustin is a movie aficionado.
Yes.
True Romance. Eric has hanging on his windowsill a replica of the pink or purple Eldorado that Christian Slater's character drove in that.
Yeah.
I just rewatched that last year or earlier this year. Holds up.
Aiden got it on Blu-ray. It's a great movie still.
Yeah. My wife had never seen it, and so we gave that a watch.
When the guy's beating up the Jennifer Jason.
It's a pre-Sopranos James Gandolfini.
When Gandolfini's kicking the crap out of her in that scene, I'm like, man, this...
Yeah, I've turned that off.
That's about the roughest thing in that movie.
I've turned that off a couple times because I do like that movie, but then I was just in a mood one time when I was watching it. And I'm like, it's too much, man. Yeah. It's too intense.
Yeah,
but
Gary Oldman. just the way he looks.
Where's Oldman in that movie?
He's like isn't he the creepy drug dealer?
He's the drug dealer
with the gold tooth or silver tooth?
That's the professional. Isn't it?
Well, he's in that too. No, he's a bit. It's a bit.
He plays like a Jamaican white guy.
You're right. Yes.
Who else is in
that? That's right.
So Bronson Pinchot.
Oh, forgot about.
Oh my God!
See, from Perfect Strangers.
This is not a pre-show. This is a Christmas show, everybody.
But also, I'll relate it to cars. He drives a really nice Porsche 930 wide body roadster.
Yeah. But who is the director who gets whose car he's driving? He gets caught with a Coke.
It's a Canadian character actor who's also in Unforgiven, who plays Mr. Beauchamp.
Yes.
Who's Gene Hackman's...
and then Michael Rappaport's in it.
Michael Rappaport.
Val Kilmer's in there?
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he plays the guy on the couch.
Brad Pitt is the best in that. Yeah, with the honey bear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I never did that for drunk
Chris
at the
Penn,
movies.
Saul Rubinek is who you're talking
Saul
about.
Rubinek. There you go. He's fantastic.
Dude, I mean, Tom Sizemore, Bronson Pinchot, Chris Penn, Samuel Jackson, Michael Rappaport, James Gandolfini, Val Kilmer, Christopher Walken, Brad Pitt, Dennis Hopper, Gary Oldman, Patricia Arquette, Christian Slater. Jack Black is mentioned in the credits on this.
Huh.
Was he one of the guys in the house? No.
I can't remember.
We're going to have to watch this again.
But I would totally drive their car. Sure.
That caddy?
Yeah.
It's an Eldorado.
Yeah, sorry,
I believe, did it have
Show Jack?
Leopard skin interior or
Maybe.
seat covers or something?
That seems right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah. I think it does like a really cool front wheel drive burnout in the parking lot.
Patricia Arquette, man, she was like a whole different body back then too. Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, that movie is phenomenal, but also probably not one to watch around the holiday time with kids. Maybe
I can't find a Christmas theme that might go with it.
No,
we sometimes call Better Off Dead a Christmas movie in my house.
Okay,
because there's Christmas mentioned, and Star Trek Generations Christmas movie. Because
yeah.
But if you find me a Christmas tree or mention a Christmas, we'll call it a Christmas movie. I can't think in True Romance where it might be a Christmas tree.
I just watched Gremlins. That's a Christmas movie.
That's a phenomenal movie.
Where do you fall in Die Hard?
Christmas movie.
Thank you.
Lethal Weapon.
Christmas movie.
Yeah, okay. This is why we're friends.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Gremlins, though, I do want to... I have not seen that probably since I was a kid. I was obsessed with that movie.
Yeah.
I think we taped it off HBO and we watched it, until the tape broke.
It's the way to do it.
It was such a bizarre movie. I tried watching it a couple years ago. My wife,
it's a tough watch.
She's never seen it. And
What?
I think her parents were very, it's gory.
Religious?
Well, no, but it was just anything that was, somewhat
Seven
weird.
Day Advocates?
Forget it. No, not quite that bad. But she's like, I've never seen it. And I think I pulled it up on demand or something. And we watched, the first 15 minutes. She's like, I'm out. This is stupid. And I'm like, Gremlins 2 is stupid.
The new batch?
that one's terrible.
The new batch. But the first one's great. And my dad uses
I think it holds up.
There's a fictitious bit. Remember that Mr. Flutterman, the neighbor?
Yes.
Okay. Who's at the bar and Billy runs into him.
Played by the late Dick Miller, who was in every Dante movie. He's one of those character actors that is in everything.
He's great. I think they just pulled him from the Bronx. And I don't know what. He's just a salt of the earth kind of tough guy, right? Yeah. But there's a scene where he's got it's a tractor that he's using as an excavator. Yeah. I don't know.
Where's Jake when we need him?
Yeah, I think it's a front end loader.
He drives it to the bar.
And he's hammered. And he's like,
Phoebe Cates is kicking him out because it's closing time.
Yeah.
Get him, Dustin, get him.
It's time to go. And my dad remembers this line, and he uses it to this day. He's like, you see that thing out there? It's a Kentucky Harvester. And it becomes synonymous with something that is like made in America, built to last.
Yeah.
Like durable. He's like, that thing, I'm going to do all the snow. That's a Kentucky Harvester out there. And it's like the most bogus thing in the world because it doesn't exist.
That character only exists so he can make those comments about, well, gremlins in the machines, just like back in the war and all that. He's the one that talks about gremlins.
And throws
That's
it out
the
there.
only reason that character exists.
I forgot that he actually uses the phrase gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah,
He's a mechanism to the movie. I see how it goes.
Yeah, anytime my dad would like repair something, he had a Craftsman snowblower.
Yeah.
Every winter, either had to get the auger rewelded or rebuild the carb on the Tecumseh 5-horse motor that was like falling apart, and he would get another season out of it. He's like, that thing, my dad would beat his chest. He'd go, that thing's a Kentucky Harvester. Nobody but my dad and I knew what the hell he was referencing. But if you watch Gremlins, Mr. Flutterman, that's where that comes from, and it's a great bit. Go watch Gremlins.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Get that Dick Miller exposition.
Was it Joe Dante?
Joe Dante, yeah.
Okay. I get him confused with Peter Dante.
Yeah.
It was Adam Sandler's wastoid friend.
Yes.
Anyways,
Daryl, you got some projects going on?
yeah, just a few. Being winter, we did kind of. You were talking about winterizing your trailer.
I know what that is now.
There you go.
You just pour some.
If you need help, just call me over.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to rent his trailer too, it's available.
No, I go to
Outdoorsy.
music festivals. I'm not allowed.
Denied.
I'm going to take it to Riot Fest.
I might allow you.
We're going to take it to Chicago and camp out.
Coachella. Denied. Anyways, no. So I tucked everything away a couple weeks ago while the weather was still nice. On Black Friday, I did actually. I bought a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, so I bought a bunch of drip pans because my stuff is old and leaks oil all over the garage.
Well, you are very fashionable.
Yeah.
The drip is legit with Daryl. I mean, look at this sweater vest combo he's got going.
Is that what the kids say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
drip.
The flex? I don't know what that is.
I thought the drip was a derogatory term in the 50s, but World War II.
No, it's
but
back, man. Drip is a good thing.
I thought that was like a
hairstyle?
venereal disease. Anyway, all right. Go ahead.
I did also order inline tube, which sounds like a medical supply company, but it's really not.
Or a retro like stereo component.
Or maybe like a surfboard or skateboard half pipe company.
Fill us in. What is it?
Anyways, inline tube, they make brake line and fuel line kits for classic cars.
Not nearly as
And
cool.
it's all pre-bent. I actually put their setup on the Fury so I could get the brake lines and brakes working on that car.
Is pre-bent like mint in box?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Like that's a specification that you want.
it is.
You want a
You
pre-bent
definitely
one.
want a pre-bent because otherwise you're drafting these wires in random directions and kind of sculpting them.
Isn't that half the fun?
No, it's not.
It was.
No.
Dustin, good point. When I was younger, I'm like, I don't need to buy a brake line kit. I can make my own.
Yes.
It's kind of like we have pizza at home, and pizza at home is just like,
It's not delivery.
Totino's.
yeah, it's not the same. DiGiorno is not the same as Giordano's. As somebody who just came from Italy, it's not the same, even though it sounds like it. No, so I ordered that. It was like, I forget, like 50% off or something stupid.
Now remind me, because I remember you telling the story about Sarah driving the Fury back from Germantown, maybe?
Yeah.
Going across the bridge and the brakes were weak?
Yeah.
Had you not driven it since then, or what was the story?
No, the booster, the power booster is still, it leaks.
Okay.
It leaks vacuum, so that's a whole other thing. But the lines don't leak anymore. So
Right, we got that handled.
Got that. It's that part. I'm like a 60-40 guy, right? 60% it kind of works. The other 40% I'll fix it as I drive it.
Yeah.
As long as I don't drive into a building because I don't have any brakes. But no, so I ordered a bunch of stuff there, and then the biggest thing I ordered, and I'll leave it with this. Anybody use like this trickle chargers, battery tenders, and stuff on their stuff, right? And that was also something I learned as an adult. Like, when I was younger, I would just store all this stuff over the winter.
And then try and restart it in the spring?
No, don't do that. Spend the $20, and even if you buy the cheap Harbor Freight,
$9.95.
yeah, just do it.
I bought 3 of them this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
I feel like I might burn down my garage, but at the same time, like, I did save money.
Yeah, that's exactly. I did the same thing on Black Friday. They had these really Norco Genius is what they're called. And they're a cheap battery tender, but they're actually very nice, and they're a conditioner too. So they actually will like condition and do all kinds.
Yeah,
of...
supposedly, they raise and lower voltage as needed and maintain the battery.
And what I like about these is they have a temperature sensor in them. So if it's like super super cold and like your battery gets zapped, it'll like up the amperage or whatever. And then when it warms out, like when it was in its 50s, it adjusts.
Are you writing this down, Dustin?
No, I'll just listen to this when it comes out, and I know where to reference.
There you go. But
Harbor Freight to take care of you. That's all you need to know.
I swear to God, though, like last year, I think I bought 3 batteries last year because everything it just timed out that way where I just needed to buy batteries.
My camper
everything.
has had it's got a the deep cycle battery,
like a marine battery.
Yeah, and I've had it for 3 or 4 years. And this year, if you take it off the charger, you can barely raise and lower the lift on it. So it's time to get a deep cycle battery. But by the time I rent that thing out for 3 or 4 days, that's what it costs to pay for one of those deep cycle batteries. So
yeah, people
wonder why I charge so much per day. But I mean, honest to God, man, nothing's getting cheaper.
I guess
it's crazy.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. So yeah, the takeaway there: get yourself a really nice battery tender if you're storing stuff over the winter, because batteries are like $300 now. Yeah. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like even a cheap battery's, $150, $200. I still am of the mindset of like, oh, battery's $75, $80,
right?
And you can go to Costco and buy like an Interstate and get a couple years. Like that's fine. But like if it's something you just don't want to mess with, take care of it. Run a conditioner, charger, tender. I think it's worth, and not the tenders that I'm used to buying.
Chicken tenders?
Correct. Correct. Are you a Raising Cane's fan? Is that
they're okay.
Thank you. They're not that good.
They're okay. Have you guys been to that new pop-up chicken shop downtown Peoria?
Well, I've gone to Bloomington.
They make it good. They make some good tenders. They give you some toast too. I didn't ask for it, but
have
I'm
you never been to
it.
Bloomington?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because when you get the tendos in Bloomington, you get them with the Memphis Hot or the I can't remember what.
I go mild. I want to enjoy the rest of my day. I
they're
taste.
Hot. They're hot. Isn't that hot?
I taste it enough, like it comes back to revisit, and it's fine. But I have a feeling I might regret the hot.
Always with something there to remind me.
I have not been. Have you been to the Peoria one?
No.
Have you been to Bloomington?
I have not.
Oh my God!
No, I'm
sounds
sheltered.
Sounds like a field trip opportunity.
They're good.
Fried chicken field trip.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Well, and I had said to Daryl a long time ago we should do a fried chicken report, like as a lark.
Yeah.
I honest to God, we could do a whole Peoria area. We could do a fried chicken report. Probably come up with like 10 restaurants.
You got no Kentucky Fried anymore. They're all gone.
So okay,
everyone.
It's not
just
Tri-County area.
I thought Pekin was still
Popeyes
open.
ran them out.
Down in Springfield, they're literally boarded up. Like a relatively new, because they remodeled, right?
It's got to be one. What do you call that? The people, the franchisee.
Franchise, yeah.
Because owns all
because Pepsi owns Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah. Right? So Pepsi didn't fold.
Yeah, Taco Bell's ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, so it has to be the franchisee who blew the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how can they just have one person run the franchise for like half the state?
They buy. It's not a foolproof plan.
No, really.
We've clearly found that out.
Yeah, you could have like 5 or 6 McDonald's owned by one owner. I mean, that's how it works in certain areas.
I guess. Too big to fail. Who knew that KFC was going to be the next Enron?
Where's George Bush? We need him. Jeez.
Right. No, seriously though, like honest, when's the last time you guys went to a KFC? Prior to them closing?
They used to be across the street at the dealership. So before it turned into Domino's, there at Fort's, it was a KFC for a long time.
Yeah. And I had one right up the road from my branch, right next to the dispensary. So it was a convenient location.
Yeah, I'm sure
that's very, very convenient.
Yeah, now you just got Popeyes. They were right next to each other. I was like, man, I'm so ready for the chicken wars on Glen.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Like that was the thing when they built that Popeyes. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be.
Next door,
another chicken place.
When the bowls came out, they had the spicy bowls. I went to the Pekin one, and I got the spicy bowl. And that gal leaned out the window and talked to me, and then she smiled. And those teeth told me I'm never coming back here ever again. It was the creepiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I'm like...
that was what did it?
Yes.
Not the bowl of fried chicken.
No, as a matter of fact, I pulled the lid off the corn and the mashed potatoes and the chicken, and that red... like artificial, which they're going to ban here soon, red dye number 5.
Yeah,
that red dye color like poured out in grease on the side. And I'm like, oh, I'll eat this. But I still couldn't forget those teeth and that smile. And I'm like, I'm never going back to KFC ever again in my life.
Was it the pre-show? We were talking, as long as we're talking about drive-through fast food, this does relate to cars, by the way.
Okay, all right.
Because you have to
It's a
drive in
Christmas
a
show.
car for a drive-through.
Dude,
Thank you.
Dude, it's a
you.
Christmas show.
You can't do
as
a
you
walk-up.
will.
I tried it once, and they refused to
What?
serve me.
That's true.
It was late at night. I was with some friends. They wanted to go to one restaurant, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go the drive-through to the other. I'm on foot. I stomp on the thing to try to get their attention. They're like, sir, we can't do walk-ups.
Yeah.
I was a safe, person. I wasn't trying to rob them.
I mean, look at yourself,
I didn't
bud.
look like I do now. I was a clean-cut, church-going kid.
I'm from a good home.
Yeah.
From a good family. Did you see, do you guys follow Peak and Tea Time on Facebook?
No, but
No.
It's a terrible group, but I highly recommend following
Okay.
it. Peak and Tea Time. If anybody wants to follow the ins and
Yeah,
outs.
patrons, pay attention.
Yeah.
like
Peak in
tea
Illinois.
for two and two for tea?
Correct.
Okay.
Like spilling some tea. I think that's where, I don't know. What do the kids say? Anyways, it was a picture this week of a guy at the McDonald's out by the mall, right?
Yeah.
Is that one off?
Yeah. It's over by the
They still
store
call it the mall. It's not
where
really
I
a
used to
mall,
run the
Yeah.
record store.
So there's Mickey D's out there, and there's a guy. Somebody took a picture from the parking lot of a guy on a 10-speed or a 18-speed mountain bike. Nobody writes a 10-speed, 18-speed mountain bike in the drive-thru of McDonald's getting served, handing him a bag of food, and the post was like, "I can't believe they served him. I tried walking up and they wouldn't give me food." And like everybody in the post was like, "Yeah, me too. Screw Mickey D's, all this." It was like the funniest thing to be irate about.
Yeah.
Like how dare they serve a guy on a bicycle food at a drive-through? I'm like, well, at least he's got two wheels.
Right.
Like he's riding a
And
bike.
he's
that-
justified his existence versus Dustin standing there looking like a creep.
Yeah, I was
But
like
really what-
stomping around. It was very defeating.
All right.
I want my snack wrap. Sir, we don't serve those.
We're 45 minutes in. Let's go. I want to go back in the Wayback Machine. You know how they do it in Wayne's World, right?
Oh, right.
All right. So, Dustin's here for a reason. We're talking
Yes.
about Canada.
Yeah.
We're talking about
against your wife's wishes.
origin story. Origin story. This is the episode that matters. You don't know the full story unless you know the origin story.
Yeah.
And only the true geeks
Yeah.
watch the whole origin story.
Buckle up.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if you knew Daryl before you knew me, or if I knew you first, going back, because I did the beer report,
Right.
and then you started doing Drunken Lullabies.
Yeah, I think I talked to you first.
And I probably blew you off because I'm like, who's this kid trying
That's
to do a
all
beer
right.
podcast?
Yeah.
Because I was doing the beer report at the time, and at that, honestly, that was kind of, I don't know, we
The overlap worked. Like you and Dan Chud were on kind of like not doing it as much.
Yeah.
And I think you were more than happy to be like,
Hey.
yeah, man, here's the football. Run with it. Have fun. And I was like, cool. But like, I want you involved in some way. And we did some cross promotions and had some fun with it. But yeah, we were talking, and then Daryl, I think I met initially through the beer group, and again,
When did you start podcasting?
2014 or 2015.
It had to be earlier than that.
I don't think so.
When did you start yours?
It was right after my divorce.
05.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys both were.
Well, that's probably why I was about ready to hand it off, because we've been doing it for almost 10 years at
Right.
that point. Yeah.
and you were tired.
Yeah. Well, it just, Dan had moved out of my basement, and I think he got married. He was on maybe his second marriage by the time you were starting.
Sure.
And so at that point, I'm like, we weren't really doing the show like we used to anyway. So
Well, in podcasting in general, not to go back into the Wayback Machine.
He was way ahead of the curve. I was slightly ahead of the curve.
It didn't
and the fact
still,
that I'm
like-
still doing it that says enough.
Oh, that's huge. And you've taken different forms of
Yeah.
different topics, different shows, different partners, co-hosts. But podcasting didn't really take off until what 2010, 2012,
when I started
around
doing
there.
it, if you Googled Peoria, Illinois podcast,
Yeah.
we were number one. And we at one point we were on the cover of iTunes because there was nobody there. I mean,
Sorry. When you asked me when I started podcasting, that's when I started Drunken Lullabies.
okay, when did you start podcasting?
I was doing a different show called IBWIP, which stands for It Burns When I Pee.
I remember that show.
And that was a comedy podcast.
I forgot about that.
I did
And that
too.
was Jason, who is my co-host on Radio Rewind and also Yesterdays, and was on the Ernest shows. He was on that show. Yeah, it was a while ago, and it was about like roots music. My friend Blake Clayton had been doing it for a long time. He was, again, kind of on the forefront of podcasting and still doing it. And, it was kind of crazy. When I started Drunken Lullabies, we got on iTunes New and Noteworthy, and I was like, hey, that's something I can put on a resume. And, that was probably the peak. As far as, like, I got a write-up in the AV Club for one of my shows, which that was kind of cool.
Absolutely.
For the Earnest program, which I don't know how far into the weeds you want to get on that.
No, but the point is, I mean, you were doing it. You've been doing it since early on.
Yeah.
And so I met you through that. But I never really I never really caught where you two met each other, unless it was through beer or what.
It was legit. I'm doing a show about craft beer. I'm in this Facebook group with a bunch of people that I'm meeting at tap takeovers and all this, and I'm looking for new people. And when I would invite people on, I had a natural rapport with some people. Daryl being a broadcaster, I picked up on that immediately. And you being a veteran podcaster. And for some reason, I thought, yeah, the three of us, we could probably have a pretty good time. And
but you were doing,
out.
I mean, long before Daryl and I ever got together in the same room, you were doing Drunken Lullaby, or no, wait, the Drunk at the Movies. I mean,
that was a spinoff of Drunken Lullabies.
Okay. So in my mind, you'd done 100 episodes of Drunk at the Movies before Daryl and I ever came together on that.
Oh, wow. No.
That's
you guys
true.
were episode 3.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, we were early. But he'd done the music one.
I get that. And you had done some of his shows with him?
You know what? Yes. I think I did 2.
Yeah.
Drunken
they were always
Lullabies.
recorded in my basement, which is where we did Drunk at the Movies.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just trying to get as many new people, and some people worked really well, and I would have them back repeatedly, and then others, it's like, okay, you're a one-timer.
I remember being in the basement one time. There was like a round robin, a beer tasting, and I think Kevin Fitch was there. And maybe you were in the same room that day.
You know what? Maybe we did. Did we do a Drunken Lullabies first?
Maybe.
Because I remember hanging with Fitch.
It was probably at one of my beer shares.
But I don't think we were at the same microphone at the same time.
Maybe.
I don't think
we would
so.
tag people in and out at those.
Because I'll be honest with you.
What I remember.
I listened back in the day before podcasts, before you had Spotify and before you had iTunes and stuff, kind of like feeding you on the way to work. I listened to NPR, and I knew who Daryl Scott was, and I knew, and so when I first heard who you were, like, oh, Daryl Scott, he's kind of a big deal,
Right.
So and I guarantee
WCBU?
you, if we were in that basement and I knew you were there, I would have been like, oh, Daryl Scott. I probably would have had that shiver of like anticipation, like, oh, this is a real celebrity. Seriously, honestly, don't take that as like, oh, I'm
no.
But seriously,
that. No.
yeah. But that's just kind of if I'm trying to think of some of the, if Tom McIntyre would have been in the room, the same way,
Lee Ranson, I bought his jukebox, and I was like the whole time thinking, you're my dad's favorite weatherman. I'm in your basement buying your jukebox.
This isn't weird or anything.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, he was still doing Neil's, the king of Neil's.
Oh, yeah.
What
and
about
I drove by there. I was like,
leeway tile,
Leeway, the only way is leeway. Sorry, we're going down a weird
No,
sentence.
no,
but this
Daryl,
but
take the
honestly,
compliment.
So I don't. If we were in that same room in that basement that day, I don't think we were on microphone together, because I remember Fitch on there, and I think one of your other co-hosts was on there, and I was like, all right, this is becoming Morning Zoo, and I go tired of this.
Maybe it was a doubleheader, because you used to do 2 shows in a night.
Yeah.
And you just crank content out.
Yeah.
We'll talk more, but like Dustin is a podcast creation machine, just as the same way you consume media.
Yeah.
Whether it's like listening to records, going to shows,
I'm a
watching
flesh-covered
movies.
computer, as Jason.
The computer wore tennis shoes. Per se.
Honestly, it's impressive, but I think maybe maybe you were doing a doubleheader, and
probably
like during the shift change. If you
I don't know, because I just remember getting up nearly hammered in your basement, like a
lot of people
it was
did.
daylight.
That basement treated people well. Still does, if you come on the right night.
It was a good time. It was a really good time.
So that's funny, because episode 3, I would have never guessed that you put us together. And so episode 1 and 2, I don't know who those people were.
It was Matt Cruzen and Michael Miller from Triptych. We did No Holds Barred, the Hulk Hogan movie.
Oh my
That was the
gosh.
debut episode.
How'd that go?
It was fun. It was requested. Like, this is the movie we want to do. I'm like, let's bring it.
Okay.
So we talked wrestling. Episode 2 was Back to the Future. My friends from IBWIP, my co-hosts Blake and Jason. Blake had never seen Back to the Future.
What?
That was his introduction. We got a real time, and he's asking all the right questions. Wow. He's picking up on things. We're like, yes, this is perfect.
Just nails
and
it.
Jason and I have that movie memorized. Episode 3, UHF with you two.
And for folks who aren't familiar,
We
UHF.
did UHF.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought we did John Hughes movies only. Okay.
No, we started with UHF because you loved Victoria Jackson's puffy sleeves.
I'm a little over now, but
Yeah, Victoria Jackson, Weird Al Yankovic,
Can't imagine why.
Michael
Emo
Richards,
Phillips.
all
Yeah.
like David Preval,
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy.
It's a fun movie.
It's Fran Drescher.
Yeah.
It's a
They
great
just put
movie.
out a deluxe anniversary edition Blu-ray. It is on my Christmas list.
so it's funny because I remember the first time we sat down and did it, and I mean, it takes some chemistry, but it also just takes some, like, everybody has to step back and let everybody breathe when they're talking. And so there was some maturity in the room, and I remember enjoying it. I'm like, okay, this wasn't a madhouse. This wasn't just stupidity and just, like, laughing. But probably more so for me for be laughing. But
It was a good time.
yeah, we had a good time on that.
Yeah.
So we came back for more.
And then, yeah, it would become a regular thing.
but that was cool
The
that-
three of us.
And I don't want to try and, like, drive home anything. But was there a thought process? I mean, other than just he does podcasts, he does radio. It was just like, oh, I'm just
That was
gonna
it.
see
It was, I would try different combinations frequently, and if something worked, it worked. And I was like, I want to explore this more, because if it felt that good the first time, 5 or 6 times down, it's going to be it's going to be good.
As I recall, there was a couple shows I felt like we murdered it. We just, like, I remember having such a good time.
Yeah. Listen back to some of those.
Just look for any John Hughes movie, and it will be us.
Yeah. I do want to say this. Any podcast you do, and it doesn't matter the subject, it doesn't matter how long it is, whatever, there is, like, letting it breathe. I think you said that. Like, giving each other the space and having enough people, because anybody can just sit down, get a Zoom recorder, and just, like, yak into a microphone.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you have to have not, like, amazing content, but make it listenable. And the thing that people enjoy about your shows is it's conversational, it's humorous, conversational, and they come away learning something and laughing.
Yeah.
And that's really why I think people turn to, I think podcasts are so important, because it's something that is not served anywhere else. Like, you can't stream this. You can't go on, like, your TV and watch this. It's not going to show up on a cable or satellite channel.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm into the stuff that I'm into, and I want to get deep into it.
Yeah.
So, like, the podcast you've done, it either has to do with, like, music, or, like, for a while, you want to talk about your Ernest podcast? Because that blew up.
Yeah, that took me down a road I was not expected to go down, but I'm very thankful for the journey.
Yeah.
Because it led to a lot of really, really cool experiences. So during one episode, one of my friends made a comment, and he goes, and I mean that earnestly, and I go, ew.
Just did, like, a Jim Varney.
Yes,
bit.
I did the Jim Varney, like,
You know what I mean?
sound, and because he said earnestly, and that's where my mind went. And then I said, we should do an Ernest podcast, and my friends indulged me. But I didn't just say, hey, we should do an Ernest podcast. Like, I came up with an idea. And I'm like, let's go through every Ernest film chronologically, not even just the films. Let's do the TV show. Let's do any Ernest media chronologically, and we'll do a monthly episode about it. And then one of my co-hosts was like, what if I make a themed cocktail for each episode? I'm like, I love it. So we would drink those on the show, and we would tell what the recipes were. And every movie had a separate Ernest cocktail, and we had all these bits. And then I started reaching out to people that were in the movies.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why not? Nobody else is doing this.
And probably most of them are still around.
Yes,
I mean,
at that time, a few of them have passed since, but and which makes me glad we got the interviews we did. But it led to some doors opening, and the creative people behind the Ernest films realizing there's an audience that still likes us. There were there was at least one other Ernest podcast before we came along. We didn't know that was a thing, but we did two different things. They were more family friendly. We were the ones, we're making booze and swearing and talking about Ernest. So you can enjoy both.
As grown adults watching Ernest movies,
it
would be,
So it ended up leading to, we went through the whole catalog. I knew that there were all these unused Ernest movie scripts that existed. And it was like these long fabled binders that we had heard about. And I contacted them and I'm like, what are you doing with those? And what's it going to take for me to get them?
Yeah.
I have an idea. Will you let me run with it? And they're like, we know what you've been doing. We trust you with these. We're going to give them to you. Incredible. So we got 3 huge binders full. One of the writers scanned every page to me.
You're kidding.
Wow.
And we got full scripts for movies that were never made. 100-plus page scripts. We got 10-page treatments. All these stories, ideas that Disney shut down and was like, no, we don't want to make that. And what's crazy is they knew eventually they would submit like 4 or 5 ideas, and they're like, we know the one we want them to say yes to, but we're going to give them 3 we want them to say no to. Mm-hmm. So we had those as well. We had the ones that they knew would never get made. And we did an episode on every single script that was in these binders. Some of them were 3-part full script reads where I perform as 10 different characters, and so do my co-hosts, and we reenact them. And we got this huge fan base, and we would go down to Tennessee for this Ernest Day event in June where they filmed Ernest Goes to Camp at this state park. They show the movie. They have people from the movie come out. We would go down every year, interview tons of people, produce multiple shows worth, and eventually we ran out of content in the binders after 3+ years of every other week a new episode.
See, that's what I was going to ask. This isn't just like I did a couple of shows about Ernest.
5 years of my life.
And by the way, what that did was it also that would show up in my feed a lot. Not only because I followed Use a Friend and followed the series and that whole trajectory.
Yeah. But
other people, other friends would be like, I found this podcast, whatever. And people from like all over who kind of grew up with those movies.
Sure.
And I'm like, it's cool, but it's also surreal seeing that kind of blow up.
Yeah.
Did you ever get contacted from like the estate of Jim Varney or anybody like that? Or
I'm friends with his nephew and niece.
That counts.
So we started. It was the Importance of Seeing Ernest was the first show, and then that transitioned. We became the Ernest P. Worrell Preservation Society.
Yeah,
which I thought was a fun.
Yeah,
name.
that was cool. That was a cool name.
And
it's also a nice reference to the Kinks, right? Village Green Preservation Society.
So we started doing these, and I've had Jim's niece on the show. We've got writers, close personal friends that have sat in. Some of the writers, the guy who created the Ernest character, John Cherry III, who directed all the movies, he did an interview with us, and it was nuts that it was just like this was some stupid one-off gag that I did on a show, but I ran with it, and it took us 5 years into the future doing all these things, and we have people that listen to our new show strictly from finding us in the Ernest
So
verse.
They kind of got hooked into your earlier stuff.
And we opened a lot of doors. There's an Ernest or a Jim Varney documentary that has been Kickstarter funded and is in the process of being made. I don't think that would have happened without our show. There's an Ernest comic book coming out now with a whole new story that, again, was crowdfunded and was fully backed within the first 24 hours, ended up getting 500% plus backing.
Incredible.
So it's like we kind of hit at this right time. We had no idea, but we are very happy to be a part of the Ernest revival or keeping him in the consciousness, because Varney was a super, super cool guy and very talented that got pigeonholed in this role.
Right.
And cancer took him out, and he
could have been a roles? Did he have any serious roles ever in his career?
He did. One of the last things he did was an independent movie called Daddy and Them with Billy Bob Thornton and Ellen Barkin, I think, is in it too. And like Billy Bob wrote this role just for Jim. and they were buds. And like, I know if he was still around, he would be this very cool character actor.
Oh, easily.
You know,
yeah, definitely
like,
a voice.
he could have been an Oh Brother, We're Out There.
Well, and I want to ask you this too, like talking about Back to the Future, and of course my mind goes DeLorean.
Yeah.
But like,
I know who owns his DeLorean.
who. Okay, so
My friend Mo owns it.
No
Maureen.
joke?
Yeah, she lives out in Washington State. She owns Jim's old DeLorean.
So if everybody remembers, maybe like 2 years ago, it was like a viral thing on social media, all the car sites. You remember seeing the picture of Jim Varney in the DeLorean?
No, I don't remember that at all.
And so it's,
Oh,
I
I
think it's
can-
an
yeah.
early, like an 81 or 82. Like I think it's an early first run of the DeLorean because it has the black, flat black stripe on the side that says DMC 12 on it,
Okay.
or DMC or
Okay.
something on it. And I don't know the history. I should, but I think, was it like, did he buy it with like money from like an Ernest movie or from like when he made it big
Probably.
in Hollywood? Okay.
He wasn't like a super extravagant guy.
No, but yeah, you're right. It's black with the DMC on the side of it.
It's awesome. He's wearing like this puffy, kind of like a Land's End winter coat.
Kind of looks
Yeah.
like a assassin for a healthcare company. There.
And that's my
Yeah.
friend in the car now.
No joke.
And then the next picture, that's his nephew in the same car because
Oh, yeah,
we're
look at
all
that.
friends.
That's awesome.
Like, he rode in it as a kid, and then Maureen
Dude.
like was like, "Hey, here's the car."
So the Ernest, the Jim Varney. I'm doing it. The Jim Varney DeLorean,
Yeah.
still exists today.
Still exists.
and people know its history.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that too because it takes people, like when people are known for certain things. Like I remember a couple years ago, Patsy Cline's house came up for sale somewhere in Tennessee. And it was on like a bunch of mid-century modern boards because it was like, I think it was built in like 59 or 60.
Oh, cool.
And it was a really cool place. It was like a time capsule. Other than the appliances, everything else looked really similar. But out back, someone was like, "Oh, we have like Patsy Cline's like Thunderbird, her Ford Thunderbird. It goes with the house or something." And I remember seeing like pictures of her. Like, there's a couple pictures of like celebrities when they kind of make it big, they start getting like material possessions and they
Yeah.
kind of show off like, "Hey, I made it. This is my thing." And whatever character they are, whatever they're known for, it's just like, no, this is a real person who is proud. Like, I made it. This is
Yeah.
my thing. And those pictures of Jim Varney, I remember seeing that and was like, cool, he's got a DeLorean on face value. Cool car, cool dude. That picture is so special to me because it's not him being the character.
Right.
He's not.
There's no hat. No denim.
When you look at him, he looks like a cool freaking dude.
He was very unconventionally handsome.
Yeah.
He's got something to him. If you see like some casual photos, yeah, Jim did all right for himself. Ladies were a fan of that guy.
He's got the nice Levi's
Yeah.
and like cool boots, and he's like,
And he was just such a knowledgeable guy and like knew it just a lot of random stuff. He had this table in his house he called the Table of Curiosities. And it was just full of like weird crap. And what he would like people to do is just go over and pick something. And then whatever they would pick up, he would tell them all about it.
Tell a story.
Like, yeah, he had.
It's like your house, Daryl.
Yeah,
It's-
he just had a lot of cool stuff.
It's just not picking up.
yeah.
I just don't have a cool car. But I love that.
So I mean, okay, and I'm not asking you to say anything derogatory about anything because it sounds like it was an amazing journey. But let's just say, for example, that I were like, you know what, I love Paul Rubens. I thought Paul Rubens was a genius. I could go back through all of his work through the 70s.
That was a consideration before we landed on Ernest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so think about that. What if you like? I'm going to do a show about Paul Rubens, but can you get sick of it? And like, I want to go through all Pee Wee's Playhouse. I'm like, oh my god, why did I even get into this?
One of my co-hosts definitely could say yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that's fair. I mean, you can't love everything.
No, Ernest Goes to Africa. We have some thoughts. If you want to listen to that episode, we don't pull any punches and we're explicit, and you know we put it all out there. We even joked, I think, to Buster about it. Like, yeah, so we just watched that one. You know,
What'd you think?
yeah,
it was a movie.
Jim's in brown face in it at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they're not all great, but you know, there's the Disney 4 that we called, Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Jail, Saves Christmas, tying it back, and then Scared Stupid. Those are so good; they hold up well. If you're a fan of that kind of humor, and new generations, it's like we're introducing our kids to it. They carry on. If you go to Ernest Day and they show this film, it is fun watching it in an audience outdoors under the stars at the camp where you could ride a kayak earlier in the day and tour and see the locations that things were filmed at. And then you're just hanging out, laughing with other fans. It's kind of magical. And, like, that's the only time I would watch that movie after we did the show is, like, I get my annual viewing at Montgomery Bell State Park. We didn't go this last year because the show's done. We've
been there,
teased
done that.
Maybe we'll go back, but we did it 3 times. Like, it's a haul to get down there. It's the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Sure.
And it's a fun time, though. We would see people that this is the only time we meet up every year. We have a great weekend, and then, all right, see you next time.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and I would like to think that Jim would get a kick out of what we did. And,
Absolutely.
You know, he probably would have been up for being a
you
guest.
Definitely shined a light on something that I think, pop culture, digests people so quickly. They're gone as fast as they're created. So it's kind of nice you guys brought something back. Again, going back to Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy that had a whole career people probably forget about. They just remember Pee Wee Herman. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Ernest. He was just a character, but they don't realize he was so much more, right?
Yeah.
So you brought him back a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice.
And then we got to bring adventures that nobody had ever heard before. And there were some good ones.
Some decent ones that would have worked.
Yeah, there was one where, like, it was called Ernest Goes Bananas, and he, like, runs into this orangutan that's in like a carnival circus thing, and it escapes. And it turns almost into, like, a, any which way but loose type of thing where he's running around with an orangutan. And it was written by a guy that used to write for Saturday Night Live, and we interviewed him, and he was a delight. And we're like, we made a T-shirt of this movie that
like
you
the
wrote
poster.
that you haven't thought of in 20 years. We made we had a graphic designer that would do all our shirts, and it was the Chiquita banana label.
Yeah.
But instead of Carmen Miranda, it was Ernest, and he had a flower basket on his head. It was great, and it said Ernest Goes Bananas on it. We had Hot Fresh Ernest, where he was a pizza delivery guy in a cross-country road race like Cannonball Run.
Are you serious?
Seriously, we read a whole script of it. It should have been made. It was so good.
So
Hot Fresh Ernest.
Hot Fresh Ernest?
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Steve Brown. If you have any investors, we need to make that move.
Just look up the Ernest P. World Preservation Society.
Take a New York sliced pizza all the way to L.A., right?
It's still got to be hot.
80-some episodes, and there's Halloween ones, there's Christmas, and there are some stinkers, and we are very aware when we have a stinker, and we suffer through some, but we had fun with it.
That's good. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you felt a passion for it, and the feedback probably helped, right?
Yeah.
If you were making this in a vacuum and nobody was giving you a response, you probably
we got way more like fan interaction. We had Patreon for that, and it supported the show, and any money we made got us to Ernest Day. Like it was like you guys are paying for us to go down there every year and record these shows and provide more content. And it was a non-profit podcast basically, but it was just a lot of fun, and not what I expected to do with 5 years, but I'm glad I did.
Well, it's really weird. The fun part, as you're describing, kind of like taking the road trip down there, gathering with people. I mean, it's kind of like your off-road trips to the Quinoa Peninsula with your, the off-road folks, or Southern Cruiser Crawl, or some of the weird old car stuff that I do. It's like, and that's what podcasts are. I love podcasts because they make all the weird stuff that you're into. Like, I'm into this, but it's kind of small and obscure and weird. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a lot of other people that are like me. You find there's a podcast for everything.
But
at this point,
but this is what the internet did. I mean, you got to imagine being a kid in the '80s, like I was growing up. 1986. I'm listening to Oingo Boingo in my car.
Yeah,
I'm like, nobody in Fairbury knows what Oingo Boingo is.
Yeah, you're the weirdo in town.
I am the weirdo in town, and I can't. And so what you do, you drive around Bloomington. You're like, I'm going to play this really loud, and maybe or I'll go to the record store, and nobody knows what you're talking about.
Buy a shirt, wear it all the time.
20 years later, you get on the internet. You just go to Oingo Boingo, and there's a fan club, and you find like a million people who love the band.
Yeah,
I can follow Danny Elfman. I can see when their concerts. It was so much different back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
It's so much easier nowadays. And podcasts are just another extension of that. That makes it so much easier to bond with the community. You found all these earnest people. I use Oingo Boingo because it's a real example. That was a band that I loved. And I was the only one in town who loved that band. You know, it was crazy.
But it's true. I mean, when we kicked this thing off, we were just two guys sitting around talking about nonsense car stuff or like car news, anything.
Thanks to Dustin.
Yeah, you know, and all of that just kind of became. We would just sit and talk shop and talk cars, whatever.
Well, we'd run into each other at Cars and Coffee.
Yeah,
and so yeah, getting back, let's pull that back in.
Yeah.
So Daryl and I meet each other, you know, a couple times with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daryl quits WCBU, and I put this in my intro. I don't remember you writing the Facebook post.
I'll share it with you.
You say you do.
I'm sure I liked it. If I didn't, I meant
But
to.
I just remember writing Daryl a message on Messenger because we were, you know, you and I, us three were on a Messenger chat, and I think I just sent Daryl a direct message. And I think I even said something to Angela. I'm like, I think I want to do a podcast again. I haven't done one in a while. I'm going to send Daryl. And I hope he says yes. It was like sending,
so cute.
It was so cute. It was like going out on my first date. You know,
Was it really that?
It seriously was that.
You were nervous?
It was that stressful to send Daryl a message saying, "Hey,
You were the belle of the ball.
will you do a podcast with me? I know I'm just, you know, you're a professional broadcaster. I know you wouldn't want to hang and slum with me, but I think we could do good things. You know."
And you have.
Well, that's the fun
For
part.
years now, and it's
longer
been
than I
great
thought.
to be on the outside and like you guys are still doing it. Yeah, that's awesome.
We're 5 episodes from 100 episodes.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
So, yeah, no, and we haven't kept up the cadence as much. Like, and I'm sure you'll find this too. Like when you start out, like, hey, this is cool. Let's do a show every week.
It's tough.
Your
man.
life
It
has
is.
changed. You've had many different jobs.
Yeah,
I've taken on new roles.
right.
And of course, everything went on my family in the last couple of years, and you carried the show even when I couldn't be here. I mean, think about that. I mean, we still maintained the show because
that says
show is that, I don't want to say it's a product, but it's that strong of a being that it is there. There are people listening, and it's topical. One of the reasons we did this show is because we want to talk about news. We want to talk about automotive news. Mm-hmm. And there's always automotive news,
Right.
You know, so that always kind of kept the wheel going. Unlike Ernest,
Yeah, we
some point,
were providing the only new content out there.
Right.
For years.
our
25,
well
30
continues to
years.
replenish
Yeah.
itself. Yeah,
But I think what you're getting at though, it's work.
Yeah.
And everybody's had a podcast that you follow for a while. And you're like, you listen. You're like, okay, it kind of hooks you for a bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, this sucks because it's you can tell it's just people sitting around wanting to talk, and there's nothing wrong
Right.
with that.
It doesn't go anywhere.
well, I guess,
sometimes.
yeah.
You can tune into one episode, and then you can tune into a year later. It's like, man, it's the same thing. You just changed the.
You want to be appointment listening, and you can see it. You've got people that tune in every week religiously.
Right.
It's like you're part of their routine.
Well, how many people sit at a computer all day,
Yeah.
put headphones on, and do their job?
Yeah, I used to
How
be
many
one
people-
of those guys.
Technicians,
Yeah.
computer guys. I mean, there's so many people whose job they just throw entertainment in their ear. Mm-hmm. So your hour and a half, you may feel like, oh man, we went a little long on that one, but that literally filled like a quarter of a guy's day doing his job.
Oh, at
Something
Radio
like that, right?
Rewind,
Yeah.
we do 3 hours.
No, yeah,
But that's fine. See, and some people are like, well, 3 hours. I couldn't listen to that.
It's weekly too. Like it is a weekly block.
there's Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So I'll shut him off after an hour. I know they're 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. You know?
And I get that. Like some people just listen to the banter portion up top and our recommendations, and then when we get to the Billboard charts, they shut off. They miss out on some good stuff.
Yeah, they
But,
do.
But I get it. Like it's a lot of content, but there's some people that are like, dude, you could make this show 5 hours, and that's I'm still good.
digested.
And I'm like, well, okay, well, I'm capped at 3. And
But some of the other things, like I'll say this, like the last flight I took was about 3 hours, and I remember downloading some newer kind of more businessy podcasts for professional development or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. How'd that turn out?
They're all 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and they're all like, I want to get to this, so let's wrap this up and keep moving in this direction.
Did they dangle the carrot till the end of the episode type thing?
Yeah, of course.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, it's all that formulaic stuff where it's like, and podcast has now evolved to like, here's a podcast about buns for the fast food industry. I mean, they're so hyper.
gotta toast those
Specialized.
things.
Yeah.
It's this episode 1, the beginning
Unless
of the
you're
heel
Costco.
and the crown. You're like, who cares? So it's everything is so specialized and formulaic that it's. I remember sitting on the plane. I remember listening to some of it. It's marketing specific, and some of it was good. It's done by some guy at like Stanford or something. And I listened to 2 episodes. And they were 30 minutes apiece. And I remember like finishing, and I'm like, okay, it was an hour in. I heard everybody rush through everything, and I have nothing actionable to take from it.
Right. That's what sucks. Like, you got nothing out of that hour.
Yeah. But it was like, I'm sure some producer was like, cram all of this in and distill. And I'm sure that there's like 3 hours of interviews, but they're like, some producer was like, cram it all and we'll take the best bits and make a half hour.
But if you were to craft a season, if you were to, I mean, before you did your show, and you had to script it all out, that's what you would do. If you were like, I'm going to monetize this, and I'm going to set it up, and here's what we do. We'll do 6 hours, break it into 30-minute slots, do this, and this, and we're focused on this.
A 6-part series, half-hour piece.
Yes, you do that with purpose. And at that point, it's not a podcast. To me, podcast is a little more free range. We're we kind of wander all over the place.
Yeah.
But that's just scripted material. At that point, it should just be an audiobook.
Series.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did that. In my past life, I did a lot of production, and we would do that. We would do, run an hour, crunch it down. We used to do like a big year-end retrospective of like local politics and government, public affairs type stuff. And you get, mayors, you get city leaders in a room, talk for an hour and a half, and you'd come up with 30 minutes of really good stuff. But that's because a lot of folks it was more of an interview, and they weren't used to that banter back and forth. Whereas like some of this, if you get the right mix, not saying like we're the best ever, we're not, but like there's people who can volley back and forth.
Yeah.
And there's others that just like they hog the ball. Let me tell you about my stuff and my this and my, and you're like, why do you have 3 other people here? You're not talking to any of them.
Sure.
So that's why I love being part of everything you do. And I, Dustin, would appreciate just like bringing people together, and just, you're always in that mindset of try something new.
Yeah.
This is fun. I could do this forever, but you know what? I'm going to try this new thing.
Well, and the best thing is to kind of to recreate. Well, I would say regenerate or kind of come with something new. I mean, one of the reasons the beer report kind of was done, because craft beer was not an issue really. At some point, it becomes craft beer is kind of boring, right?
Well, that's what I think you might have been out of the room after the pre-show. Daryl and I were talking, like, after a while, I felt I exhausted what I could do with Drunken Lullabies, and I was like, interviewing the musicians, that's different, and that's every time I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
If it's just me and my friends sitting around drinking beers, it's going to be entertaining, but I get bored eventually, and I can only say, yeah, it's hoppy.
Right.
I get the citrus hops, And
there was a time when it was hard to get good beer.
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore.
No.
The other thing, too, I think, and I respect you for this, bringing new people in, it forces you to get out of your comfort zone and talk about new things or try a different approach. Because, like, the other thing is, like you said, you could have the same dynamic, the same people forever. But, like, that's why I always like having guests on the show.
Yeah, I do, too.
It's more work, but it's like, it forces you to be like, hey, Eric and I could just talk about the same old...
But,
about
counterpoint
Toyotas.
to that, and I've said this before, sometimes you and I have a show I feel like is razor sharp.
Yeah.
You and I will come through and we'll just like, I'll feel like we murdered it, and people say, man, that was a really good show. And I'm like, yeah, because Daryl and I are a fine-honed machine.
Yeah.
We're not monkeying around with somebody else. So there's definitely a fine line.
Yeah.
To it.
I like doing host-only shows occasionally.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
But if it's like, I know we've got a list of songs to talk about it's an intense list, and there's a lot, and I'm like, we only need the 3 hosts. We don't need a guest getting in. We don't need banter.
Yeah.
Let's get to know you. Let's just plow through this, but it'll be good.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do those, but a lot of times, we like getting fresh takes and perspectives. My co-hosts I've got a really good co-host that asks good questions, and I can take a back seat and react off of their dialogue, which I appreciate, and it gives him something to do. And it's just finding that good balance,
and that's what Daryl does great, because we come from different areas. Whenever we get a third wheel in the room, like you'll hit different stuff. I'm like, oh man, yeah, he thinks about a whole different angle than I do. Yeah. So that is so much fun when you have somebody you trust on the other side of the table. Yeah.
Yeah, and you develop that over years. Like Jason and I started on IBWIP. We're 9-10 years deep into sitting next to each other, talking into microphones and being funny.
Yep.
And we can know exactly where the other is going with a look or I know exactly how to set him up perfectly, and he doesn't even know that I'm doing it yet.
The gears are turning always.
Yes, and I play pun chess, as I've said before. I'm thinking moves ahead because I'm a straight man usually on my shows. I'm not the comic relief, and so it's
a valuable role.
It's fun, yeah.
But the other thing too is, do you ever listen to somebody who does a solo podcast, like Bill Burr's Monday
It's
Morning?
tough, man.
And I'm like, we were driving up to my folks' Thanksgiving, and I'm like, I haven't heard him in a while. I'll pull him on, and I'm like, it's still funny, but it's a lot of work.
I can't listen to Bill Burr anymore. No. I used to enjoy that Monday morning podcast, but it's too tough. My buddy Phil did a podcast. I think you maybe listen to Inane.
Yeah.
He was really good by himself. I don't know how the guy does it. And I think he highly produced it. He must have sat there for an hour writing the script or editing out all the uhs or the dead space. He had to.
It's a lot.
There's no way. The guy worked his butt off on these episodes. But a co-host does kind of make you lazy in some ways because, I can... Well, every time I start talking, sometimes you guys pick up a drink, and it's like, all right, he's got the ball, right? He's going to run with it like rugby,
Right. But there is something. A couple people have asked me, like, "Hey, I like your podcast. You guys are good. You don't talk a lot about the old stuff. Do you ever want to do one just about old stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe, but like, what would I'd just be me talking about my own job? Yeah. It's just like staring at your belly button.
Yeah.
Like here's things that only I'm into." It's nice.
You're into your belly buttons?
I mean, sometimes. Just in the shower.
It's Daryl Scott.
Right. No, but you know what I mean? Like navel gazing. It's just that whole, like, I'm going to just talk about me. Yeah. And that nobody wants to hear that. Having somebody else at the table, having people, it's just like friends.
Yeah.
And my wife never understood this. She's like, your friends are all different, and you probably all can't hang out because everybody's just so different. But that's what's great because I don't want to hang out with 5 people that is like they just are the same people.
Yeah. Let's get back to the Oingo Boingo conversation. I couldn't hang out with 10 Oingo Boingo fans.
Yeah.
I could hang out with all my friends. I'm into that.
You want to be the Boingo boy.
Yeah, I can't hang out with 10 people that are only focused. The only thing we have in common is that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the same is true with, like, I was in a vintage, I still am in the vintage Chevrolet club. I like more than Chevys. Oh, you don't need a Ford. You got a Ford. I drove a Ford for years. Like, why do you got that Ford? I'm like, I'm into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't compartmentalize me. And that's the other thing too. I feel like in this day and age, with social media and like the big echo chamber, everybody's just like, I like this. Me too. Let's just talk about this all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I want to branch out. Like, I like musical theater sometimes, but also I like watching Stallone movies. There can be both of those things in the same person.
No, you can't do both.
That's why Eric needs an Italian car, not just Toyotas.
Hey, you brought up Ford. Can you guys answer? Does Ford really stand for found on road dead?
Pretty much. Yes. That's true. That is a true fact.
I got one in the driveway.
Actually, Henry did say that is what's for. Yeah.
Okay.
When people ask him the etymology
I've heard it
of
for
his
years.
last name, yes.
It depends on the model.
Okay.
Does your Fusion have a turbo?
I don't know.
Is it an EcoBoost?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're safe.
Okay.
You're probably good.
It's got cruise control.
Hopefully my cats
My
haven't
Nissan
drank
didn't.
anything under your car that killed them tonight. Okay.
It didn't have. Wait, what year was your Nissan?
Old enough that it should have. Those CVTs don't have cruise control.
Now, the problem with Nissan CVTs are notoriously bad. Toyota said my wife had a CVT for 300,000 miles in a Prius. So don't say CVTs are bad, but Nissan CVTs.
Well, my CVT was
Nissan
atrocious.
CVTs are bad.
Yeah, I've had a couple friends that have.
I think I described years ago we were on that road trip out in Washington State, and I think I got a Sentra with a CVT, and I remember the roaring noise. I think, all the time.
That's what mine sounded like on the way back home from Milwaukee, and then I was like, I got to take this in to get serviced. And it was like, no, I'm done.
There's no
it got
service.
me home. Yeah. I was struggling up Creve Coeur Hill, saying a silent prayer, and I got home, and I was like, this is going to the shop tomorrow.
All right.
No, it wasn't.
We are 127 in. I did want to bring up one thing. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Time Magazine is thinking about doing their top people of the year. Have you guys seen that list that came out today?
Is Elon on there?
Well, he is on there. I just want. Okay, so let me just run.
Wait,
down
are we
this.
voting on this like American Idol?
No,
nice.
I'm going to bring
Call
up
1-800 Throwin Wrenches.
You'll probably
text rate supply.
So number one, Kamala Harris was on there. Number two, Kate Middleton. Dame Kate or whatever she's called. And then number 3, Elon Musk. Number 4, Yulia Navalny, the late.
Bless you.
the Russian guy who was like put in prison by Putin, who died. His widow, Benjamin Netanyahu, Jerome Powell, the
Colin's kid.
No,
it's probably not related.
Joe Rogan.
Huh. I heard of him.
Claudia Scheinbaum. I have no idea. Who that
Schiffer.
is. No. And Donald Trump and Mark Zuckerberg. I don't even know if Zuckerberg falls on the list.
Wow.
I want to go back to Joe Rogan.
Okay.
How much did you listen to Joe Rogan?
No, but I watched news radio.
Talking about
Wasn't
famous
he on that?
podcasters.
Yeah. You don't listen to him at all?
No, it's not for me.
Okay.
I make enough content. I don't need his.
And
That's kind of how I feel.
But he's a 3-hour. So the reason I brought him up because he's a 3-hour guy.
That's what I mean, and people don't complain about that. So I was like, well, if Rogan can do it,
Right.
I can do it.
That's right.
That's why I didn't want to do it because there's so many episodes of Rogan that I used to listen to years ago. I'm like, I can't listen 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm not stoned on that show for 3 hours. Isn't he?
Not always.
Not always.
Depends on who
Okay.
he's listening to.
It depends.
Who he's talking to.
But here's the other thing. The anomaly, I think, for us living here, we don't have a long commute. If we all lived in like Houston, or we lived in L.A. or suburbs somewhere, and we were like stuck in a car for an hour, I'd be listening to a 3-hour podcast all day.
But to be fair, when we used to listen to morning radio or midday radio, 3 hours was basically the length of a midday radio show, right?
Mm-hmm. Or morning drive or afternoon drive. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't mind that so much. But at the same time,
And he does it multiple times a week, though, doesn't
Twice.
yeah, he puts a couple out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Marin's dedicated to twice a week. I have no idea what Rogan actually does.
I think he's. I don't know.
Marin gets like really squirrely. If you're past 75 minutes on his show, he starts getting really weird with you. Yeah, he go 90 minutes sometimes, but
Oh man, I want to go 120 with Marin. Then I sent him a record once.
Yeah.
He not
He's into some cool stuff.
he bought it
yeah.
like or somebody bought it for him on my Amazon seller list. I shipped him a copy of Grateful Dead's American Beauty, and it said Mark Maron in this, and I put a post-it. I'm like, I'm not gonna not do this. I put a note on it, and I was like, if this is the Mark Maron, been a fan for years. I'm a WTFer, and I appreciate what you're doing, and it makes me smile to know that a record of mine is going to be enjoyed in your collection. Keep it up. He emailed me back.
For real.
And was like, thanks for the record, man.
that's cool.
And I was like, cool.
See, and that's the thing. It took him, 5 minutes to do that?
Yeah.
And you'll remember that the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're like, Mark Maron, I sold him stuff. He sent me an email.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
And
Because
when I get
he could have
famous,
just
I won't
been
do
like,
that.
cool, throw it away. But I put my
assistant will
email
do it.
address at the bottom of the whatever.
He had an interview this week with Dwight Yoakam that was amazing.
Oh, Yoakam's come back to Bloomington.
Yeah, I know, but you need to listen to his interview with Marin. It was phenomenal. It was 90
maybe
minutes.
I'll listen on the way home.
Yeah, it was a great show. And I'm not a Dwight Yoakam fan. I'm not really a country fan, but to listen to those guys talk and talk about the roots of
You don't like guitars, Cadillacs, or hillbilly music?
Dude, no, it's not even hillbilly because if you listen to his roots, it comes back to like Creedence Clearwater Revival.
California.
Yeah,
Bakersfield.
absolutely. And cowpunk. He talks about cowpunk so much.
Yeah.
X comes up several times in the interview, and I'm like, maybe I need to go back and listen to some old Dwight Yoakam. I don't know.
Yoakam's solid, man.
Really?
I'm going to go see him for a second time.
Okay.
Taking my parents. That's their Christmas present. Hope they're not listening. But
Two
I'm
things.
getting them tickets.
Anybody wants to go, Google what Sharon Stone said about Dwight Yoakam.
Okay.
There's a very famous quote about their marriage.
They were married?
They were married.
That's news to me. And you're the pop culture nerd.
I know. How did I miss that?
He knows about cars. You know about this garbage.
Are we talking Basic Instinct Sliver era?
Honestly, yes.
Wow.
So it was around the same time, I think, Julia Roberts married Lyle Lovett.
Okay.
That was a thing. That was
Okay.
a thing, right? Neither one
Find
lasted.
yourself a moody country artist?
Something like that. She said being married to Dwight Yoakam was like a... just Google it. I can't say it here.
I can Google it right now, but I won't share.
It's fantastic.
Please, actually, I'm going to put this in the Spotify comments. Please respond with what you Googled.
Something
okay?
sandwich.
Oh.
Eating a something sandwich. I'll just let you fill in whatever meat or was in between the two slices.
And mustard,
something like that.
French fried potato.
This is a good Billy Bob.
Thank you.
By the way,
I've been working on it. Thank you.
a bit like your earnest imitation.
he's blown up. Billy Bob's on whatever that new series about is it Landman? He's like an Oklahoma oil company guy.
Got me.
He's about to blow up again.
You know what? We need more of more series, more shows.
Series. If you like Yellowstone, you'll love Landman.
I mean, everybody's like, gotta watch Tulsa Kings. I'm like, I don't have enough time to watch all these shows.
My
man.
queue's full of stuff I'm never going to watch.
Yeah, I'm still getting through
I have
stuff.
the best of intentions.
Stuff I said. It's kind of like the bookshelf, right? Oh, I'll buy this book. I'll read it one day. And you look, and your bookshelf was full of stuff with dust on it. You're like, when is that ever going
When
to come?
you stop podcasting.
Maybe.
That's not true.
You have too many hobbies, Dustin?
Yeah, I have records to listen to and podcasts to record and produce, and no time for books.
What if? And I'll ask you both. And maybe we should wrap this because it is getting long. But if we weren't doing this, if we weren't podcasting in our respective areas, and we were looking for some new hobby to get into, what would that hobby be? I know we all have other interests, but
I've never been asked. I hate when these kind of questions come up because it comes out of left field. If you would have prepped me, I could have come up with a lot of dandy answers.
No, I want a spontaneous answer.
Yeah,
Well,
spontaneous.
Sometimes when people ask questions like this, they already know their own answer. Do you have an answer for this, Daryl?
No, I'm waiting to formulate one after. Dustin can go first.
I would. So I can't listen to music anymore?
I mean, you can still do all of that,
But you can't podcast about it.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of records that
I know you do
that I haven't listened to that I've accumulated that I'm working my way through. So I would work through them quicker. I would read the books on my shelf more, and my Netflix queue would be a lot smaller probably. I don't think I'd be getting out there and about, and I'd be missing a social aspect of my life. So I would have a severe case of FOMO, probably.
A big old case of FOMO.
Yeah.
That is real. Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear.
That. So double down on your existing stuff. Maybe pick up a book.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, can you read?
Yeah, I can read.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, no.
I never seen you with a book.
Yeah.
So I'm a periodical guy. I usually pick up weird indie mags and stuff like that at bookstores.
Yeah.
Anything local. If I'm in Memphis, I'll pick up a weird local literature magazine or something like that.
Okay.
I'm a short story guy. But we don't invest a whole lot of time in this show. I mean, to be fair, Daryl, we do.
I don't.
We do a show once every 3 or 4 weeks. We record it. We have no editing because we're such professionals.
Right.
The doc.
Yeah, I'm
takes
doing this all wrong.
Seriously, the doc takes a few minutes, but other than that, I can't say that my time is consumed by this podcast. It actually, so in fairness to the Patreon people, it's more painful for me to get to the post office and do all this. I hate the physical part of this stuff. Patreon does do a whole thing where you could set it all up where it automatically send by tiers.
Oh, have a store,
but how
or something?
Crappy is there's no authenticity to that. So right now I have 12 tubes upstairs, and I got a bunch of stuff to send out with stickers and tattoos and some other special stuff.
Just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, and I got to get all that done, so I'm going to work on that tomorrow. If I didn't have to do that, I don't know what else I would do.
Once a year? You didn't have to do that?
I used to do it a lot when we first started. But I've gone grandiose with the stuff. I'm like,
yeah, you got. I saw Carrera marble statues upstairs of us.
I brought them back
Are
from
you
Italy.
Sending those out,
and the camels.
Yeah.
Right. The Throwin Wrenches nativity scene. Well, let me ask real quick, not to derail. I don't have any hobbies.
That's not true.
No.
You just spend more time on. But honestly, again, going back, it's one night every couple of weeks you spend over here.
Yeah.
How much? I mean, and then I always feel like when we do production, you're peeling away from doing a meeting or work on your car. But it's not that much after that, really, right?
I don't mind producing. I honestly don't.
The production's easy.
The production part's it's easy. It's just the schedule thing, right?
Yeah,
it's the schedule.
I wish we lived closer. If we lived next door to each other, it'd probably be weekly.
Oh, we'd be over here all the time.
Yeah.
But no, for me, if there was something I wanted to get more into, it'd be learning how to do woodworking.
Seriously?
You want to whittle?
Dude, how many times do you go to Marigold Fest or you see some guy standing there?
Not that. Not like the bowl guy.
Okay.
Or,
Dude, I have a friend of mine. Craft Beer Radio, Jeff. I love that guy. He was the original beer podcaster. They started in like 2004. Now he's like going to Maker Fest and he's like making bowls and stuff like
Here's
that.
my cutting boards and stuff like
No, dude,
not
seriously?
that. Like I want to make
like a smoking bowl, like the pipes.
No,
different.
like
you could
a mysterium bowl.
Yes.
Like I put a little bit of lucite in here to get a little different color.
Okay.
Anyway.
There's like the guys that do like the live edge coffee tables,
and I love the dude. I just watched this, and again, going back to the guys selling cutting boards.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's really good? When I retire, I'm going to do some cutting boards and make bowls. And the wife's in the background. He does a really good job with that. And then you buy a booth at Marigold Fest for $250 for the weekend, and you sell nothing.
And you watch people walk by you all day.
Exactly, because there's 28 booths who do the same thing.
Yeah.
Every guy can buy a lathe, and they can buy, and the same thing with 3D printers. Everybody's selling these little dragons that like fold around. It's
we
not
just
a hobby.
put this out.
Sorry.
It's
Like
woodworking isn't a hobby.
All right, so Daryl, tell us about your woodworking hobby.
I don't have a hobby.
But you
yet.
said if you could, you would.
No,
what are you making?
I'd be building furniture.
Okay. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
all right.
and that's my grandpa still does a lot of that stuff. But no, it's not the turning the bowls and that stuff. I'm with you. Of the years I've gone to like farmers markets and all the other cool markets, I've never bought a maple cutting board from some dude who made it. Like, I respect it; it's cool. But like you, I haven't bought any of it. I'd be making like Hoosier cabinets or like Norm Abrams.
I always said we should like buy those old console record players.
Yes,
put new speakers in them,
put Bluetooth,
rewire them. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that because you used to live in Indiana?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
the Hoosier cabinet.
Little Hoosier cabinet.
A little Amish in you.
It's like a style, I guess. I don't know. No, but that's another one. Like I see people that want to like they'll buy an old record player. And they'll be like, I want this in my house, but it's all broken. I don't know how to do anything. And so part of me is like, instead of refurbishing those, make a newer version that looks like an old 50s hi-fi, but put the Bluetooth in, put a good stereo.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. The worst part about that, there's a YouTube channel, and I can share it with you. This guy basically started that, and he basically said, I'm not taking any more in. Because people don't know what they're in for. Yeah, and I'm like, you just took all the allure out of that project.
But also, nobody wants to pay. Like, you can make one? How much is it? $4,000. I can go on Wayfair and buy. You're like, all right, bye-bye. Like, that's the thing. Modern consumers are terrible.
Yeah.
So, there's that. I might tap out at that.
Okay.
That looks good, though.
Okay, just make sure. Make sure.
We do have. You
Seasick crocodile.
You guys help yourselves there.
No,
there's some Christmas beers that have made it on the table. Christmas wish for the holiday season and the new year from each one of you.
World peace. How's that?
Would you like that?
Has it happened? No.
I think
it just gives you something to wish for.
I think it's gotten worse. We've asked for a wish, but I also wish that we get the new Celica, which they've been talking about. So we'll see if that happens or not.
I've heard some things.
Mr. Ford even said to me, "Hey, I heard they're making a new Celica," looking at me as if I'm the Celica king of Central Illinois. Which
you kind of have that title.
I might be. So.
You have 4 of them. 3.
3. Yeah. But I've had many more in the past.
I know you have cumulatively.
Yeah, 5 and
humble brag.
Yeah.
No,
believe me, they're all cheap. Don't get too excited, Dustin.
3 of them.
Are they like a PT Cruiser?
Yeah, essentially that value.
Baseline. You know what? Here's the thing. All 3 of them run. One of them needs a transmission.
Yeah.
So maybe you could ask Santa for a transmission.
There you go.
For your GT.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, if I had a wish for the future, it's actually I just hope everybody has success in life and they have world peace and all that good stuff. I only wish goodwill in everybody. Believe me, I've seen the worst of shit, so I can only hope better for everybody. So.
I thought you were going into that Steve Martin SNL bit for Christmas.
All the crap about the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
To bother Daryl there.
No.
I like that. Dustin, how about you?
I hope both our listener bases double over the next year.
Nice.
But also, I like being happy, and I just hope for more of that. Maybe I'll get to 52 shows next year. Who knows?
I love that.
The world's my oyster.
We'll be pulling.
I just gotta shuck it.
Did you get like a Ticketmaster frequent flyer or anything?
Dude, the fees on my Dead Company tickets today were ridiculous. I was so happy I got them at the pre-sale face value.
Dude, pre-sale isn't a better value though half the time anymore.
Yeah,
that's the worst part.
The actual tickets were like $135, which I'm like, that's a deal. I went and saw U2 there, and I paid more than that. So getting those was great. But then there was like $85 worth of fees per ticket. I'm like, that's almost the price of the ticket.
This is why I go to small venues, man.
Ridiculous.
I'm just so tired of it. I bought those 3 tickets for the at the Riv.
Yeah.
And it was $230.
I play StubHub Chicken a lot, man, and it works out.
Yeah.
So 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
60% of the time.
Yeah.
It works every time. No, I love it. I love it.
What about you, Daryl? What's your wish for them?
My wish is that that I'm able to spend as much time with the things that I like to do outside of work as I'm able to. Right? Like I've spent the last couple of years getting my house to a point where I'm like kind of proud of it. It's not done. It's not
looking
great.
good. Every time you show, that's the best thing. Hey, here's what I built out in the yard. Here's what we're doing inside the house. You have nothing but upward movement all the time. It's awesome. You do get to a point like Ange and I are at in our house where like now it's just basically just kind of
maintain it. Yeah. Maintenance state. I like maintenance state.
Yeah.
I would love to get there in all aspects of my life, whether it's my yard, my cars, or my teeth.
Yeah.
I would just like to maintain what I got. But that's really what it is. To spend more time enjoying what I've worked hard to acquire and attain. And I might, you know what? I might actually crack a book. I might actually pull the hi-fi out.
If you need to borrow one, I got like 2 bookcases full.
Got a few. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you need a weird, obscure magazine from Memphis, I can probably hook you up too. So
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. Guys, seriously, Dustin, before we take off, just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Finally. Yes.
Like I said, I'm not going to say long overdue. I was more than happy that this was the one day this week that worked for me, and it was when you were recording.
It was you or John Bierce, but that's okay.
Yeah, as somebody who admittedly does not know much about cars, I knew getting an invite to the table here would probably be slim. But
seriously, no.
We appreciate it. And thanks for.
I'm not going to join the Four Timers Club unless it's 4 years from now and it's Christmas. I mean, that's probably about the only show you'll come hear me again.
Christmas with Uncle Dustin. Maybe that's a Yule.
I'll be honest with you. We've had many episodes that are movies or music based. So I mean, you could come in here and you could like look at our top 5 lists and you could probably evaluate. We probably could use you as a the case against.
Hey,
hold on. Okay, let's bring this back one more time, and we'll sign up with this. Settle a long-running argument between Eric and myself.
Okay.
One of our Christmas shows years ago was all about favorite car movies of all time. And you're laughing because you know where this is going, right? Okay. And this was this is like 2 or 3 years ago. One of my picks, we all got 5 picks. The top 10
I wonder if I can pull up.
I got to put my robe on, which is my 311 hoodie here.
I'm going to try and pull up throwinwrenches.com because I want to pull up that Christmas episode with the movies.
This was just going to be a quick aside, and now you're...
Yeah,
okay.
No, because I want to make sure he knows what he's up against, because it's not fair.
He's
bring
afraid
up
I'm
the
going to rule against him.
No, I just want to make sure he knows
the
that
defense is already in action.
Stacking the deck.
No.
This is not a fair trial. I move for a mistrial.
Abstained.
You're out of order. No, so one of the, what was it, 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Maybe 5, I don't know.
It was a while back. We had Christmas movies. Oh, no, car movies. Famous car movies for one of our Christmas shows. And I think we had 5 movies apiece. And they ranged the gamut from, like, you know, Bullet.
If Days of Thunder was not on either of your lists, I have issues already.
I don't know if Days of Thunder was, but that's a really, dude, you actually make a good point.
I'm moving for a retrial. We're gonna. I got to get a new jury in here.
All right.
If Cole Trickle is not involved,
where I'm going with this is one of my picks was Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We probably talked about it in the last Christmas show you listened to.
And I was told
going to the Piggly Wiggly.
Top 5 car movie showdown. All right. All
right.
Okay. Before we get, let's just talk.
Let's just real quick.
Eric's top 5.
Are we letting the judge say?
Let's just
yes
give
yay or no.
Okay, let's do
yay
that.
or nay, gladiator style.
No.
Thumbs up,
okay,
thumbs down.
so what I'll do is I'll give my 5 and I'll give your 5, and he can give a yay or nay, and at the end we'll see who got more yays than nays.
All right, hold on.
Whether I verify that this is a car movie, or I think it's worthy of being a top 5 car movie.
Give me a piece of paper over there.
Okay,
I'll keep score. I'm objective here, but
the winner gets to drink the seasick crocodile.
Okay, so My number 5 on car movies was Mad Max from 1979.
Is that a car movie?
I wouldn't call it that, but I mean...
Let me ask you this. Daryl's number 5 from...
Is that the Driving Miss Daisy?
No, was Rain Man.
Oh. Well, because he drove on Sundays. He's a very excellent driver. Charlie Babbitt.
Yeah.
I saw that in
No
the theater.
feedback. We cannot... Don't even look at him. Just let him judge. Which is a better car movie?
Okay, out of those two, I'm going to say Mad Max.
Thank you.
Over Rain Man.
Thank you.
I think Rain Man's a better movie.
Okay, I started...
I thought you were muting me.
So I...
At this time.
Okay. So I started with my movie last time, so we'll start with Daryl's movie.
Okay.
Daryl's number 4 selection was Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah?
My number 4 movie was Better Off Dead.
Whew.
As a car movie.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. I think of Better Off Dead as a skiing movie. So I'm going to go Driving Miss Daisy, although there is a huge problem there.
What? We don't need to expand on that.
Number
just
4,
take the win.
weak picks. Days of Thunder should have been.
Well, you're not on the show, so shut up. All right. Number 3, Eric's selection was The Hunter from 1980 with Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen?
Okay.
Daryl's number 3 movie was Blues Brothers, 1980.
Oof. I mean, I'll allow both, but I think Blues Brothers is better. The car scenes are ridiculous.
Yeah, and looking at those two objectively against each other, as they were never pitted against each other, I will give Daryl.
Yeah,
thank you. The Hunter is great, underrated Steve McQueen movie.
Yeah, and I'm hurting from this Better Off Dead.
Okay.
Did you know he was supposed to originally be in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid instead of
in Redford?
Redford, yeah.
Oh.
But he had a problem with Paul Newman being top bill and said not going to happen, so they got an unknown Robert Redford. It worked out.
Worked out pretty well for good old Bobby.
All right, Daryl's number 2 was Christine, the movie by Stephen Queen, 1983. My number 2 was The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, James Bond movie with the Lotus.
We'll call that a wash.
Oh. Where are we at? What's the tally, Daryl? As we get
Don't
to
worry
number
about
one?
it. We have one
I
more.
want to know where we stand.
One more. I currently lead 3-2.
Ouch.
Because one's a tie. So.
Yeah.
Here we go. Now, wait a second. There's no... Okay. Number 1. Is that my number 1? I'm looking at Daryl. Hang on.
I'm expecting you guys to bring it.
Okay, all right.
One.
So here we go.
Tiebreaker.
So was I... Okay, so Christine was... Okay, so my number 1, going back to me...
Drum roll.
1981 brought us Cannonball Run. That is my selection, is my number 1 car movie of all time. Daryl brings to the table Ronin from 1998.
Cannonball Run.
Well, Eric,
It's a tie?
thank you, Your Honor.
Is it a tie?
The Honorable...
If you,
I know you have a sticker that says the Honorable Eric Stahl. We also have the Honorable Dustin Wickoff here. Just for the record, I'm going through the court record here. That brings us 3-3. We are direct tie, neck and neck.
y'all should have picked Days of Thunder.
Nobody had Days of Thunder. in
We
that.
should have. That would have
done it. Whoever had picked it would have got my vote.
Which one was a wash? Which one did you say was a wash?
The James Bond and
Christine.
Christine.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I appreciate that. I think,
That one
think
was-
you gave me. I think you gave me a little love on that. I think Christine probably was a better car movie.
You know what, though? It all washed. It all worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And it just proves.
And I didn't know what the picks were.
No.
You know?
See?
And we still tied.
We went into this blind.
and
Here's your-
this was the original plot of The Case Again.
Yes, I think there might be some legs here. Stay tuned in the future. There might be another podcast spinoff, which will be a subsidiary.
Well, no, you can't. You can do another show. Come
Three
on.
weeklies?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Dustin, let the folks know if they like what they heard today, where they can hear more.
Go to your favorite podcast app of choice. Type in Drunken Lullabies and maybe throw in podcast after it just for safety's sake. You'll see some beer bottles that says cheers and may your music be as loud as your beers or whatever the phrase used to be. Sponsored by Distill Brewing. I think it still says on the logo. We are no longer sponsored by Distill Brewing because that show doesn't exist anymore. But the feed's active. Check out yesterday's DAZE for your pop culture retro toy cartoon movie.
And you were on that show, Daryl?
Radio Rewind.
He did Radio Rewind.
Okay, same co-host, though, right? Jason?
Yes. And then on yesterday's, it's Jason, who is on Radio Rewind with me, but also our friend Derek. It's the three of us that did the Ernest show for 5 years. And I already mentioned important seeing Ernest P. World Preservation Society. I put out a lot of content, and I even it's Christmas time. In December, I'm DJ Chris Mix, and I make weekly Chris Mix mixes for you on Mondays.
Is that like chess mix?
No, I take
better.
I take a sampling of Christmas music, songs you've probably never heard before. A lot of people say there's no good Christmas music. I hate Christmas music.
Yeah.
No, you're listening to the wrong Christmas music. I've got Christmas music with bad words in it. Songs that
that's the litmus test for me.
People don't like Christmas.
Words.
Independent Christmas originals that you've never heard before that only have like 150 plays on YouTube. I find them. I compile them into a nonstop 90-minute romp of holiday fever dream musical bliss. And I put it out for free on the Drunken Lullabies feed. I've done 4 of them this year. 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes to close it out the final week. And that one is called All I Want for Christmas Is You, parenthetically, in the circle pit. And it is all heavy Christmas music for 2 hours.
Oh, nice.
I want y'all to riot for Christmas. It's going to be a blast. I'll see you in the pit.
It's like an advent calendar without having to go to the hospital. I love it.
I just wondering, has this one ever made your mix?
Is this Wesley Willis?
Well, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Has it made it?
It might have been a few years ago, but I may need to throw Wesley back in. I'm already mining songs for next year's mixes.
Well, put this in your list.
You got it.
I'll make sure when I'm with my folks this holiday season, I'll make my mom's
I think
Alexa
I'm adding this
play
one to
this.
the Christmas Eve playlist.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dustin, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you for the listeners for putting up with me and not
No,
knowing
this
a
is
lot about cars and
This is fantastic.
a lot of earnest talk.
This was what the Christmas show is all about.
Yeah.
This is the reprieve from talking about cars.
That's right.
We
That's
can
right.
still talk about cars a little bit.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. And get on that synth, Wesley.
Buzz your girlfriend. Woof. Woof.
Gotta love it.
Casio.
Oh yeah, it's the same beat every song.
Every song.
It
Well,
is a
and
pre-programmed
the
loop.
funny thing was about him, I didn't even know who he was until I was looking up Jello Biafra. And he has a song,
Okay.
Jello Biafra. And I'm
Yeah.
like, who the fuck is this guy? And I grew up close enough Chicago, you would have thought. And Kevin Matthews may have played him,
Yeah.
but I didn't know who he I thought it was a joke, you know.
He was, the one I remember was Rock and Roll McDonald's is the first
Oh
one I
yeah,
heard.
rock and roll McDonald's.
And my brother, like, fucking,
There we go.
was obsessed with him.